Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Tori and Kira? Part 2. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Tommy started to wake up and was sat up strapped to a surgical chair. He looked around and saw the once person you last expect to see. Mesogog. It's been a while, Dr. Oliver. Mesogog said with a hiss. Looks like nothing has changed about you, huh, Mesogog? Sarcastically said Tommy. The entranced opened and Tommy saw Zeltrax enter. His eyes widened when he saw the green Dino Gem. Tommy paled no. He silently pleaded. My lord, I have come back with a prize. Zeltrax kneeled and presented Mesogog the Dino Gem. Mesogog took the Dino Gem. And what of the Green Ranger? He questioned. But the stab from my sword, he will be dead. Zeltrax said. Excellent, Zeltrax. Mesogog pleased with this. You bastard. Tommy shouted in rage and tried to break free. Zeltrax walked up to him. How does it feel, Dr. Oliver? To lose something important to you. Soon you will feel what I have felt for years. Declared Zeltrax. Tommy gave a heated glare as he was too enraged. Now Dr. Oliver, you are going to help me if you care for the safety of your other students. Mesogog getting into Tommy's face and threatened. Mindscape. Naruto was still in shock as he saw Kurama. It had been a year and a half since they last contacted each other. He spoke. Yeah, it's been a while, Kurama. What happened? I tried to contact you for the last year, he asked. When we collided with Uchiha's attack and transported, the portal we went through made my chakra spiral out of control. If I didn't stop it would have killed you. With no choice I had to seal my chakra away till the right moment you would awaken it. Explained Kurama. Naruto had thought about this, and it did make kinds of sense to him, but the last part he understood. Will I be able to access my chakra again? He asked. That's the problem. Kurama said in a grim tone which confused Naruto, but he explained, your chakra network nearly shredded. It was a miracle that you're still alive. Naruto eyes widened at this. I'm sorry, kid, but the chances of you doing jutsus is nearly impossible. Said Kurama. Naruto looked down, crushed that his jutsus are no use to him anymore. Kage Bushin, Rasengan, Rasen Shuriken, gone, but Naruto noticed something. Wait, you said nearly impossible, so there is a way, right? Naruto asked his partner, having little hope. Ayubi gave a grin. It seems you gotten smarter, Gaki. He joked. Naruto smiled sheepishly. Yes, I said nearly impossible, but lucky you have me as I am made from chakra. Naruto smiled but knew something was coming up, but? He asked. But I have a limit of how much chakra I can give you. For example, you would usually make about 1000 clones with my chakra. But now that would drain me quickly. And because we're no longer in the element nation, my chakra cannot restore quickly as it used to. Explained Kurama. Naruto, although knew he had a limit, he would have to use chakra at the last resort. If Kurama's saying was true, then the Rasen Shuriken would be at a last act if something were bad to happen to his team. The two were silent for a minute till Naruto broke it. So I take it you saw my memories and saw what happened. Naruto said sheepishly and was smacked in the back of the head by one of Kurama's tail. Ow, what the hell? He shouted, rubbing the back of his head. You damn right I saw. What were you thinking charging in like that? Because of your stupidity, you lost your power. Scolded Kurama. I know and I blame myself for that. I'm sorry. Naruto looked down disappointed. You're lucky I like you. Kurama said and Naruto looked at him. Now that I'm awake, your healing factor is kicking in. You should be up in a few minutes and next time try to not get stabbed. Naruto had felt Kurama's chakra running through his body. There. Kurama told the Green Ranger. Thanks, Kurama, I owe you one. Naruto smiled at his partner. Yeah, you do. So tell me about this Kira girl. Kurama gave a big grin and Naruto blushed. Hospital room. Kira was sitting in a seat still by Naruto's side, who was hooked up wires to the heart monitor. Kimberly had arrived at the hospital as fast as possible when she was informed by Connor and Ethan. What was more worse was Tommy was missing. Kimberly was doing what she can to comfort Kira. They'll make it. Naruto won't give up so easily. Kimberly placed a hand on the Yellow Ranger's shoulder. Kira looked at her and gave a sad smile. They then heard the heart monitor beeping fast, then back to normal. They heard a groan and looked, seeing Naruto starting to wake up. Where am I? He asked, a little drowsy, and sat up. Then suddenly he was hugged by Kira, who cried on his shoulder. Naruto had patted her back, comforting her. This continued for a minute and they broke the hug and Kimberly came and hugged him. She looked at him as they broke apart. I knew you wouldn't give up, although you had me worried, she said. Naruto smiled and then looked at the wires connected to him, which he ripped off him, freaking Kira out. What are you doing? You just got stabbed. You need to be laying down recovering. Angrily hissed Kira. Kira's right, Naruto. The Pink Ranger agreeing. But I'm fine, look. He proceeds to rip the bandages off him, which again freaked Kira out, and Kimberly was going to scold him hard, but to their surprise the stab wound he had was gone. Not a single scar was shown, like it never existed. The surprised thought changed as Kira blushed and saw his lean body, which he had a six-pack. Kimberly brought some clothes for him. A white shirt, which Kira silently complained, with a design of a green Japanese dragon wrapped around a dagger, blue light jeans, black shoes. "Where are the guys?" he asked. "Back at the house, Haley's probably there by now explaining the situation about Tommy," Kim informed him. Naruto clenched his fist as he remembered Tommy kidnapping. He swore he make Zeltrax pay. Naruto, Kira and Kimberly had arrived at the house and went down to the Dino lair. Kira had informed the boys that Naruto made a full recovery, which was a big surprise to them, and they would be heading back. As soon as they got the lair, both Ethan, Connor with Haley were watching a video. With the return of Mesogog, it became necessary to invoke the power of the Dino Gems, however a fourth gem had appeared along with a newcomer. Said Tommy, and videos of Naruto training with Tommy were played. A ninja, or the correct term shinobi, by the name of Naruto Uzumaki came to our world from a dimension where shinobis exist. After finding the green Dino Gem, he was attacked, but thankfully my wife Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, had saved him. Since then I have trained him to the best of my knowledge, knowing he can be a great ranger as me. Haley paused the video. Naruto eyed as he didn't expect this and looked at Kira, who was in disbelief, and the guys slowly turned to see Naruto. There was silence for a few minutes until Ethan broke the silence. "Dude, you're a ninja too?" questioned an eyed Ethan. "Well, the correct term is shinobi." Sigh, and yes I am, and no, we're different from the ninja storm, but almost alike. "What do you mean?" asked Connor. "I'll explain more, I promise." He told them and looked at Kira, who wanted to ask more questions. "I promise," he said, looking at her. She didn't like it but accepted it. "Haley, can you please continue?" asked Naruto as she played the video. "But even with my training, even he knew it was not enough by himself and needed a team. Should anything happen to me, these four are in charge of protecting the world." "It's us." Kira surprised. "They're in good hands," Tommy said, and the video ended. Naruto clenched his fist. His sensei had believed in him just like Jiraiya and his friends did. "He really trusts us," said Connor. "He does." Haley nodded, looking at them. "We have to do something, we owe it to him." "Ethan." "We do," said Naruto. "The whole world owes him." Kira agreed. The beep went off as Haley looked and smiled. "It worked, I got lock on an invisible portal," she said. "Time to go save a teacher," Connor said to the three as they nod. "And get my Dino Gem back," Naruto added in. "We'll get it back, you stay here," Connor told him. "What?" sharply said Naruto. "Look man, we know you can handle yourself. But for how long? And you just got out the hospital," Ethan added in. "Naruto. Connor and Ethan are right, it's just too dangerous." She tried to reason with him. "Look, I appreciate your concern guys, I really do, but ever since coming here Tommy has been like a brother to me. He has taught me about the life as a ranger, and if it wasn't for him and Kimberly I probably wouldn't be here. I owe it to him just like you guys do." Kimberly knew if there was one thing about Naruto, you don't ever mess with his precious people. "Guys, we're running out of time, I believe Naruto should go," Kim said. The trio looked at Naruto. "You sure about this, dude?" Connor asked him. Naruto nodded without hesitation. "Alright, let's move," he said as they turned and walked. "Remember, you have to reach a speed of 536 miles per hour upon entry, otherwise you'll never make it past the security wall and probably be ripped to pieces," Haley said, making the four rangers freeze in their tracks. They turned to look at her, eyes wide. "Did I forget to mention that?" Haley looked at them and noticing their face. She smiled sheepishly. "I take that as a yes." Naruto nodded. "Never fear, I have just the thing for such an occasion," she smirked, typing a few things on the keyboard. One of the walls opened, revealing 4 shining bikes. "Aw, sweet," Ethan exclaimed, his eyes widening again. "Amazing," Kira added. "Now that's awesome," Naruto commented. "Which one's mine?" Connor asked. Ethan and Kira both looked at him and raised an eyebrow at him. "I'm kidding." "You so weren't kidding," Ethan laughed. "These are your new Raptor cycles," Haley said, walking over to stand in front of the 3 teens. "They should get you to the programmed coordinates in approximately 92.75 seconds," she continued, seeming proud of herself. "And when we get there?" Kira asked. "Use your gems to access the hyperdrive and then go through, straight to Mesogog's island fortress." Naruto frowned. "So that means I won't be able to ride mine, right?" he asked. "Sorry Naruto, you're going to have to ride in the back with one of them," Haley apologized. Naruto nodded and looked at Kira. "You wouldn't mind if I was behind you, right?" he asked Kira. She looked at him and nodded. Connor paled as he realized something. This didn't go unnoticed from Naruto. You okay, man? He asked. Did you just say Island Fortress? The Red Ranger asked Haley, hoping he had heard wrong. Yeah, Haley answered, confused. Why? Well, Connor started. Islands, they're surrounded by water, he finished, blushing in embarrassment. Usually, Haley said. No, Ethan realized and started to laugh. You can't swim. I didn't say that. Connor exclaimed to the laughing Blue Ranger. But it's true, Ethan stated with a grin. You can't. It's not that bad, Connor, it's actually pretty easy, said Naruto. The Invisa portal will take you directly to the island, you'll never even have to get wet, Haley assured him. Ethan laughed as Haley went back to the computer. You can't swim. Whatever, dude, Connor shook his head. You guys ready? The three agreed and quickly morphed, except Naruto, got on their new raptor cycles with Naruto behind Kira, holding her around the waist and left the lab. The Rangers pulled to a stop on the abandoned roadway and looked down at their cycles. Whoa, Ethan frowned. It just stopped. What's up with that? This must be where Haley programmed the coordinates, Kira stated, looking around. She spotted the familiar purple ball of light she was looking for and pointed up at it. Look. There's the Invisi portal. I sure hope Dr. O's on the other side. Only one way to find out, Connor stated, looking at the others. You guys ready? Ready as I'll ever be. Naruto said with determination. You know it, Ethan nodded. Ready, Kira affirmed. They mounted the cycles again, but in a flash of green, Elsa, Zeltrax and a swarm of pteranodrons appeared. The Rangers groaned. Hey, Connor stated. No one invited you to the party. That's too bad. Elsa grinned evilly. Because I brought some friends. Is that rude? Extremely, Kira glared. You're not getting to that portal unless you're in chains, Zeltrax warned, stepping forward. Naruto stepped forward. Hate to break this to you, but that'll be a cold day in hell. He said. Zeltrax was shocked and Elsa hissed over at him. You said he was dead. I might be able to pull that look off but these guys, no way, Kira commented. I vote we go for it. Connor called. Nodding, the others brought their engines to life. Attack. Elsa screamed and her foot soldiers charged into battle to meet the Rangers. It didn't take the Rangers long, driving their new cycles with ease, swerving and racing through the pteranodron ranks to thin them out and take them down, power weapons in hand. Soon, only Zeltrax and Elsa were left. Meeting in the middle. Naruto and Connor were looking at the two and saw Ethan taking care of the monster and Kira taking out the pteranodrons. You take care of Ms. Sunshine. I got a score to settle. Naruto told Connor and jumped high, kicking Zeltrax back as he blocked. He ducked, dodging the sword strikes from Zeltrax. He decided it was time to test his jutsus. Kurama, I need chakra for one clone. Naruto called out. Alright, but be careful. Kurama sending chakra through his Naruto's body. Naruto flipped over Zeltrax. Even without my gem I'm called unpredictable for a reason. Naruto said and put a cross-finger sign Kage Bushin no Jutsu. He said and in a poof of smoke, a second clone had appeared next to him. What is this? Zeltrax taken back. It's called a can of Wu Pass. The both Naruto said they charged dodging more strike. Naruto kicked him in the gut while the clone hopped over and landed 2 kicks to the chest and then grabbed the real Naruto and swung him as he landed a kick to Zeltrax's head, sending him back. Kurama, how much chakra does it take to make a Rasengan? Asked Naruto. Not as much now that you have your Kage Bushin, that will help. Kurama said. Then let's do it. Naruto held his hand out as his clone started to from a blue sphere the size of a baseball. Once it was ready the clone had disappeared and Naruto charged to recover Zeltrax who was ready for the attack but he smirked and disappeared in a green flash. Zeltrax looked all around and then felt a sharp pain as the ball of energy slammed into his back. Rasengan! Cried out Naruto, pushing the sphere deeper, sending Zeltrax back far and crashing into Elsa. I still got. Naruto grinned and regrouped with them. Dude, that was so awesome with the clone. Laughed Ethan. Naruto chuckled and then looked, seeing the Invisi portal getting small. We better hurry while the portal's still open. Let's go. Connor said. Naruto jumped behind Kira as they kicked up their engine and rode straight to the portal. Elsa with one last attempt fired to blast them, but narrowly they made it. Haley, we're in. Connor radioed the redeed through his morpher. But I'll recalibrate the bike to your exit, you have about 5 minutes, Haley stated over the comm link. The lab should be just around this corner I think, Kira stated as they turned another corner, breathless from running along the halls, now powered down to their civilian outfits. At least we still have the element of welcome, Mesogog hissed, stepping forward and causing the Rangers to stop dead in their tracks. We've been expecting you. Of course the bad guys always finds us first, Naruto muttered as they backed up slowly, unaware of the doors closing behind. Surprise, Kira squeaked. You remember me, I trust, Mesogog grinned. Like I could forget that face, she spat. "Oh, what part's his face?" Ethan inquired. Reaching the door, they stopped as they realized it was closed and that they were locked in. "Obviously you are in need of some discipline," Mesogog growled, and as an orange-colored beam fired from his head towards 4 teens. Elsa, Zeltrax along with the monster teleported in front, taking the damage as the teens made their escape. "Find them. Now," shouted Mesogog. The Rangers ran on down another hall. Soon, they turned into the throne room, finding Tommy tied to the same table Kira had been on a week ago. "Hey, perfect timing," he grinned, and they came over to untie him. "Hit the red button." "Okay," Ethan nodded, going over to press it. Turning to look over his shoulder, he watched the door shut right in front of Zeltrax and Elsa. "Suckers," Naruto snickered. "I should have known you'd try to rescue me," Tommy stated, coming over to Ethan with the others and working at the computer. "Is that your way of saying thanks?" Ethan inquired. "'Cause if it is, it needs some work. I'll thank you for real when we get out of here." "Now, Haley gave you the new Raptor cycles, right?" he replied, taking a deep breath. They nodded. "We can use the main Invisi portal network," Tommy typing the controls to open a portal. "This way." "Wait," Ethan stopped him. "We need to talk." "Oh, I'll explain later," Tommy stated. "We already know everything," Connor told him. "We found the video diary," Kira added. "We know you're a Power Ranger," Ethan concluded. "Is you serious we need get out here?" said Naruto. "I was, you guys," Tommy sighed. "Not anymore." The door slid open, and Zeltrax barged through with a shout, followed by Mesogog, Elsa and Tyrannodrons. Mesogog stepped forward, hissing angrily. "Ranger or not, you're mine now." "I hate when he gets like this," Tommy groaned. "We can take it from here," Dr. O'Connor stated, and Tommy stood back as the three stepped forward, morphers in position. "Ready?" "Ready," they replied. "Dino Thunder, power up." "Ha! Attack," Mesogog growled, and the others ran past him to combat the Rangers fiercely. Taking on the Tyrannodrons, Elsa and Zeltrax, the Rangers summoned their Thundermax sabers, causing sparks to fly everywhere. Connor took on Zeltrax while Kira fought alongside him against Elsa. Ethan got a swarm of Tyrannodrons and the monster creation, consisting of a mix between a flower and a squid. Meanwhile, Mesogog headed straight for Tommy and Naruto. Student and Sensei were doing well against the mutant dinosaur. Naruto flipped back and then saw his Dino Gem. He and the former ranger were thrown back into a metal post. He got up, but after a few more hits Naruto grabbed onto Mesogog and was kicked back in the chest as he fell, spitting blood out. Tommy got in front of his student, landing a few blows to Mesogog, but was thrown into some machinery. He lay flat, hurt. "Naruto, Dr. O." Connor shouted as the Rangers finished off their opponents and glanced over. "Head for the portal, I gotta get something," he yelled, and they began to insist, but he shook his head quickly. "Hurry. We'd better do what he says," Connor nodded decisively. "Right," Kira agreed, and they jumped through. Tommy looked at Naruto, who got his Dino Gem back. "Naruto, go with them." "No, Sensei, I'm not." "Trust me," Tommy telling him. Naruto was debating but finally nodded and then teleported behind Mesogog and jumped in the portal. Mesogog angrily turned to face him. Taking the opportunity, Tommy stood up quickly, pushing Mesogog away and flipping over a table, grabbing a large white crystal in the process. Fighting off a seriously pissed off Mesogog, as well as Tyrannodrons, Tommy jumped through the Invisi portal. "Do not let him escape with that stone," Mesogog yelled, facing Elsa. "Go." The Rangers were just getting on their cycles in the hallway as Tommy fell from the portal behind them. "You made it," Kira greeted. "I knew he would," said Naruto sitting behind Kira. "Do we really need a souvenir?" Connor inquired, looking at the stone. "This one we do." Tommy nodded, and sounds of Elsa and a group of Tyrannodrons running down the hall reached their ears. "There they are," she shouted. "Though I'll be right behind you," Tommy told them. "Hit it." The Ranger kickstart their engine, disappearing in the portal. The Rangers had arrived safely on in an empty plaza, skidding their bikes to a stop and looked. Tommy landed safely, but as he came so did a group of Tyrannodrons, the squid flower monster. Elsa and Zeltrax. Tommy stood up to face them and raised the stone in front of him to absorb the blast Zeltrax fired from his sword. The Rangers called out with worry, dismounting their bikes. Blinding white flash of electricity sparked from Zeltrax's sword and Tommy was thrown back from the blast, blinding everyone. When they were able to open their eyes again, Tommy was nowhere to be seen and only the shattered remains of the stone lay on the ground. "Sensei," said Naruto quietly in disbelief. "Dr. Oliver," Ethan shouted. "No," Kira cried as she fell on her knees. "Such negativity," Elsa commented, grinning evilly. "Haven't you learned that in our world, anything's possible? Even the destruction of the great Dr. Tommy Oliver," Zeltrax added. "That's it, I've had enough of you assholes." Naruto cloak chakra slightly shone, which was in the shape of a fox, surprising everyone. All of a sudden a shimmer appeared in the air between the groups and Tommy stepped out of it, something small clasped in his hands that didn't resemble the large stone at all anymore. I heard my name, he grinned, amused. You missed me, didn't you Zeltrax? Zeltrax only stared in confusion while 4 rangers ran up in relief. Morley Naruto. Awesome. Connor cried. Right on. Kira cheered. You made it. Sherried Ethan. Kimberly is going to kill you. Naruto joked. Connor noticed Tommy's hand had begun to glow and he tapped his closed fist. Hey Dr. O, what's this? Opening his hand, Tommy revealed a small black stone, glowing now with energy, and the rangers all gasped in surprise. The black Dino Gem, Ethan grinned. Let me guess, the power of invisibility. Looks like it. Tommy nodded, smiling a little. That gem belongs to my master. Elsa growled angrily. There's 2 things you guys need to learn about Dino Gems, Tommy stated, looking at her. 1, you can't choose them, they choose you. What's the other? She asked. Raising his wrist quickly, his sleeve fell back enough to reveal a dark morpher on his wrist. They go real well with Dino morphers, he grinned, slamming the stone into it. Immediately the morpher started to glow. Elsa looked slightly amused but not quite confident. Aren't you a little bit old for this, Tommy? She snickered. I may be old, Tommy began. But I can still pull it off, he finished, grabbing a key in his other hand and connecting it with a morpher. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. Twisting the key, he began his morph and soon a ranger in a black suit like theirs with golden spikes stood with him. Dino Thunder Black Ranger. Now that's sick. Naruto commented. Nice. Kira. Just like riding a bike. Tommy grinned. 1 more makes no difference, Zeltrax growled, though his tone betrayed that he was lying. Raising his sword, he yelled. Attack. Don't forget about me. Naruto slammed the Dino Gem back in his morpher and activated it. Dino Thunder power up ha. Naruto transformed into his Dino Green Ranger outfit. They all rushed at each other and began to fight. Testing his powers, Tommy took on a large group of pteranodrons and it took very little time for them all to end up lying on the ground. Ruining the moment, Zeltrax stepped in, sword raised. Let's see what you're made of, Zeltrax stated. Accepting the challenge, Tommy took out his new weapon, the Brachio staff. Kira cried out as Elsa's sword struck her in the back but held her ground, spinning around and knocking the woman back with a roundhouse kick. Calling her Ptera grips to her command, she rushed forward, matching Elsa hit for hit. Elsa charged her sword with an electrical blast and smashed it into Kira, sending sparks flying. She cried out in pain, collapsing. Kira. Naruto yelled, jumping from his back-to-back fight alongside Ethan against a band of pteranodrons to get to her, just as Elsa brought down her sword again. Naruto's claws blocked her hit just in time. This is not your fight, Green Ranger, Elsa growled, glaring at him over their locked weapons. When you hurt the people that are important to me, it becomes my fight. He snarled. We're not intimidated by your teacher, she added. Then obviously your master doesn't know him very much. Naruto threw the sword aside and went to slash her, but she backflipped into her stance. Naruto was blocking many strikes as did Elsa, but he didn't give up picking up speed. He managed to slash her in the arm, making her wince and kicked her in the chest. She got up holding her chest and glared at the Green Ranger and charged while he continued to battle Elsa. He gained the lead and landing a few kicks to her stomach, which sent her staggering back and then jumped towards her with a slash to the chest, making sparks as she fell down. She got up holding her chest and glared at him breathlessly. We will meet again, Green Ranger, she vowed, before teleporting away. Naruto turned back and ran over to Kira, who was only now gaining the strength to push herself up. He grabbed her arms and helped her to her feet. You okay? He asked worriedly. Yeah, better than I would have been if you hadn't stepped in, she nodded. Hey, we're a team, right? He teased, earning a light tap on the arm. You good to help the others? The Yellow Ranger nodded and the 2 of them rushed off to find Connor and Ethan, shooting down the pollinator with their Thundermax lasers. How you guys doing? Naruto greeted. Better than he is, Ethan chuckled, watching the monster sway precariously. Let's put him together. Ethan said. Yeah, good call. Connor nodded. The 4 summoned their power weapons once more, combining them. Z-Rex Blaster. Don't be a pollinator hater. The monster shouted. Fire. Connor called and they sent a huge blast towards the monster, engulfing it in an explosion that broke it apart. Meanwhile, Tommy and Zeltrax continued their battle, and Zeltrax was eventually thrown against a large stone wall, landing on the ground in a heap. He got to his knees as Tommy watched him, his sword before him. Go ahead, Zeltrax spat. I dare you. No, Tommy shook his head, lowering his weapon. I got a message for your boss. Tell him Tommy's back. And no matter what color I am, he'll never defeat me. Zeltrax stood and stared at him for a moment, then jumped up, disappearing into a portal. Just then, a large black rain cloud rolled across the sky, crackling with purple electricity. It rained down on the remains of the pollinator, making it grow into building size. The Rangers all stare up at it and Tommy's morpher beeps. "Haley?" he asked. "Welcome back," she stated. "I've got a little homecoming present for you. I found it on the north side of the forest." The ground began to rumble and the Rangers glanced down the street at a huge black and gold Dino Zord, bigger than any they'd ever seen. "Meet the Brichizard," Haley went on. "Retrieving the black gem must have awakened him." "Oh wow," Kira breathed in amazement. "Whoa." Ethan too amazed. "Now that's a big Zord," Naruto commented. "Wait till you see what he has inside," the Redeed concluded. "I think you can handle it from here," said Haley. The Zord opened at the right side, top of its back and tail, revealing the Tyranno, Terra and Tricera Zords. "Let's go guys," said Kira as Connor and Ethan leaped into their Zords and immediately began the Megazord transformation to create Thundersaurus Megazord. The Green and Black Rangers watched. "They owe you," Naruto said and Tommy looked at him. "They said themselves they do, we're lucky to have a team like this," Naruto said. "Yeah we are shit Kim is going kill me," Tommy realized. Naruto snickered at this as the Black Ranger looked at him. Though he couldn't see it, he felt the glare. On orders from Haley, Tommy looked at his morpher as it changed from the Brachio head to the blue of the Cephalozord. "Locking on," he stated, inserting the key into his morpher. The Brichizard opened again and a small purple Zord hopped out, boxing gloves on its hands, as it mock-fought its way down the street. As Tommy left to phase with the Cephalozord and then into the Thundersaurus Megazord and in the end they destroyed the monster. Later on, at cyberspace, the 4 teens were gathered on the couches with Tommy sitting across from them. "What a day," Ethan sighed. "New bikes, new Zords." "New Ranger," Connor commented, looking up at Tommy. "Well, sorta new. Just another day of being a Ranger." Naruto chuckled. "Dr. O," Kira frowned. "Are you gonna tell us how you happened to have that morpher ready?" "Well right after you became Rangers, I got an energy reading on the tracking system. I had an idea it was another gem, so I had Haley build the morpher, just in case," Tommy stated. "And the day of my gig?" she asked. "I was coming to tell you guys the energy had moved and we needed to investigate," explained Tommy. "When you were napped by the goon patrol, brutal," Connor commented. "Yeah but it all turned out okay." "Well, I'd better get going," the Black Ranger stated, getting to his feet. "Going, where you doing?" asked Haley. Leaning on the back of the couch behind Naruto and Kira shopping. He declared, "I checked my closet this morning and there's a serious shortage of black there," he said. "You're just doing that so you don't have to go home yet and explain to Kimberly what happened," Naruto said, causing Tommy to sputtered and the group laughed. The few days had been normal, which was a surprise to Naruto, but that changed when Connor, Ethan and Kira showed up one day wanting answers about him. He explained to the trio of what his world was like and how the shinobis use chakra. Which he too explained about how he used Kage Bushin and the Rasengan. He even told them about his friends back at home. Connor heard about Kiba and smirked, sounded just like him. Ethan was amazed hearing about the jutsus and the different type of ninjas. Kira giggled as he told about painting the Hokage monument, even the guys laughed. Right now, we are at Haley's cyberspace where Kira and her band are playing. "I'm over you." "Better believe it's true." "Oh I see in your eyes. Every time that you lie." "I'm over you. I'm over you. Darling, I'm done, I'm through." "You can say it again. But you want to be friends. But when we get to the end, I'm glad." "I'm over you." As the song finished, a rare few in cyberspace clapped and cheered because most were busy talking and bustling with other things and most were just making noise. Kira frowned as the last chords faded out. Telling the band, "Take 5, she walked off towards the table where Ethan, Connor, Naruto and Tommy sat, sliding into a regular seat, sitting down, but holding her guitar. "Amazing as always," Naruto commented with a grin. "That was awesome," Connor smiled. "Is that something new?" "Yeah, I'm still working on the hook, but I think there's something there," Kira replied. "I'm telling you, if this superhero gig doesn't work out, you definitely have a musical career to fall back on," Ethan told her. "Ain't that the truth?" Naruto agreed. "It's kinda hard to have a musical career when you can hardly get anyone listen to you play," Kira muttered as the busboy, Trent, came by with drinks and a sketchpad under his arm. Naruto was going to speak but. "Well I was listening and I think you rock," he stated. As she looked up to smile and meet his eyes, she glanced at the drawing in his arms and nodded to it. Naruto had a small frown which didn't go unnoticed from Tommy. "What are you working on?" she asked Trent, looking at the sketchbook under his arm. "Nope, not till it's done," he grinned, shuffling it away to his other arm. "Okay," she smiled at him. "Nobody appreciates good music anymore," Tommy stated. "These days all you hear on the radio is the pop garbage." Naruto groaned as he recalled listening to it once. Never again will he listen to it. "Yeah," Haley nodded, coming up to the table. "Like what's her name?" Kylie Styles. Naruto noticed Kira's eyes widen a tiny bit. Hey, Kylie Styles has some good music on the radio, Connor argued. Tommy grimaced and Naruto chuckled seriously. Dude, I think you need your ears checked. Translation. He thinks she's fine, Ethan laughed as. No, I don't. Connor exclaimed before Ethan gave him look. Okay, yeah I do. But that has nothing to do with it. He admitted. You know she used to be a really good songwriter, Kira stated, and the boys looked at her. She was really sweet too. Now she's all about image. You say that like you two are friends, Ethan frowned. Something's telling us you were, right? Naruto asked. Yeah, we used to be, Kira rolled her eyes, and the boys except Naruto and Tommy exchanged skeptical looks. What it's true. We were in a band together, then she got discovered by this agent, and now she's this huge pop diva. Oh come on, Connor chuckled. You don't expect us to believe that, do you? Whatever, Kira sighed, seeing this was going nowhere. Hey I believe you Kira, back at my home people didn't believe me when I told them I saved a princess from her tyrant uncle, but that changed. Naruto said. Connor and Ethan looked at Naruto wide-eyed, never hearing that except Tommy as he chuckled. I'm with you. Tommy added, making her give a small smile. Ah, here's your chance to prove it. According to her fan site she's gonna be in town to promote her new CD, Ethan stated, typing away at his laptop. Oh we are so there. Connor grinned, making Kira roll her eyes. Great, she sighed. You sure you want to go? Naruto asked her and she nodded. I'll be fine. She assured him. Yeah and since you two are such good buddies, Connor added, looking at Kira as he spoke in a tone that still held disbelief in her story. Maybe you can hook me up. Hey. Trent waved at a man in a suit who had just walked in and left to see him. Tommy followed him with a gaze that turned to shock when he spotted the man, and he too drifted off in that direction. Sensei, you alright? Naruto called after their mentor, but he walked off. Making him frown. Who's that guy? Ethan inquired. The others shrugged. Hi Trent, the man nodded, straightening his tie as Tommy approached. Anton Mercer? He shook his head. I can't believe it. He offered his hand, and hesitantly, the man shook it. Tommy, Anton acknowledged. Tommy Oliver, how have you been? You know my dad. Trent frowned. Your dad? Tommy inquired. Well I had no idea. I mean your last name is. It's Fernandez, Anton cut him off, clapping a hand on Trent's shoulder. It's a long and complicated story Tommy, but more importantly, how are you? Trent, can you help out with table 3? Haley inquired, walking over. There's been a bit of a Machachino incident. Yeah I'll be right there, he nodded before walking off with her. See ya. I don't understand, Tommy began. I thought you were dead. I mean the island was destroyed, remembering the island explosion. Well I was lucky, Tommy, Anton told him. From the looks of it we both were. Why didn't you call? Send a message? Tommy asked. Yeah well you know what it's like starting over. Trying to get your bearings. Yeah, I do, Tommy sighed, leaning closer to whisper in his ear. Anton, the experiments we were working on, some crazy things have been happening. We need to figure some things out. Yeah I suppose you're right. Anton nodded as he pulled away. Look, I'll clear sometime next week if that's alright with you. But. It's good seeing you again Tommy. Truly, it is, Anton nodded, clapping him on the shoulder before walking out of cyberspace, leaving the Black Ranger confused and lost. The crowd at the bottom of the escalators cheered as Kylie Styles' song played on the speaks above, and she, accompanied by half a dozen agents and security guards, descended the escalator towards them, smiling and waving. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Kylie called. When she reached the bottom, she went through the crowd and over to her signing table. The fans grouped around, and Kira groaned as she lost sight of the table due to her small stature. You've seen her, we're here, can we go? Kira inquired, looking up at Connor. No way, you said you knew her, right? Come on. He exclaimed, grabbing Kira's hand and pulling her through the crowd, and Naruto followed. Connor, seriously, Kira probably doesn't want to see her. Naruto said, but they were already at the front. How many of these leeches are there? Kylie hissed to her agent, who sat at the table beside her, keeping up a smile. My hand is gonna fall off. Go ahead, ask, Connor nudged Kira forward, a Kylie Styles CD grasped tightly in his hands. He was jabbed in the ribs by Naruto, who glared at him. Who do you want it made out to? Kylie inquired, not at all recognizing the girl in yellow in front of her as she stepped up to the table. Just right. To my old friend, Kira Ford, Kira suggested, and Kylie's writing stopped halfway. She looked up, eyes wide and a huge smile plastered on her face. Kira? She exclaimed, and Kira nodded slightly. Wow. I haven't seen you for ages. The pop diva hopped from her seat to hug the dirty blonde and give her air kisses on the cheeks, and Connor stared in disbelief. Looks like she isn't lying. Naruto said smugly next to him. I didn't know you were a fan of mine. Kylie smiled. I'm flattered. Actually, Kira stated flatly. It's my friend who's the fan. Connor stepped forward to shake her hand. It's Connor, with an he smiled his trademark grin that had captivated most cheerleaders at Riverside High. Did Kira tell you that she and I used to sing together? Kylie inquired. Yeah, he nodded, grinning. I just didn't believe her at first. Or at all. Kira muttered too low for them to hear, sighing. Naruto patted her on the shoulder. Oh, it wasn't anything professional, just silly teen angst stuff. Kylie stated, flipping her hair with indifference. I thought we had some pretty good songs. Kira stated. Oh. Kylie was uncomfortable. Yeah, sure, at the time they were great. But hey, at some point you gotta grow up. Kira just frowned at the statement, while this bothered Naruto. Cassidy Cornell, Riverside reporter, the blonde introduced herself and the Rangers were pushed farther away. I'm here to do a story on how you went from struggling nobody to pop superstar. Aren't you kind? Kylie grinned. Well, it all started when hold on. Kira turned back when her name was called and found Kylie smiling such a fake apology in her direction. Oh, Kira. I'm so sorry. Duty calls. Can we catch up later? She inquired, winking. You're awesome. Kira merely sighed and nodded absently, turning away and leaving the crowd with her friends. Well, you got to meet the famous superstar, Kira muttered, looking up at Connor. Look, if you're mad because I didn't believe you about Kylie, I'm sorry, he stated. Come on. I mean, she's so and you're so. What? Kira growled, daring him to finish his sentence, eyes narrowed. What the hell, man? Naruto in disbelief. I'm what? Kira stated, a little louder. When Connor hesitated, wanting to kick himself for starting a sentence, but had a feeling Naruto will do that. She shook her head and sighed. You know what, forget it. Maybe you're right, maybe I don't know Kylie after all. They were interrupted as screams echoed up the escalator from which Kylie had left moments ago. Connor, Kira and Naruto split second later, all three teens were running that led to the parking lot. They found the screaming Kylie and her guard surrounded by pteranodrons and some large gray-furred monster that resembled a donkey. Get away from me, you freaks. Kylie shouted in a high-pitched tone, becoming flustered. Don't you know who I am? Of course I do. I'm a big fan. The monster grinned. Kylie made a sound that was somewhere between a whimper and a squeak as pteranodrons and the Donkeyvac rushed at her and her guards and agents all but ran away. Kira, Naruto and Connor then clicked into fighting mode, rushing forward to face off against separate groups of pteranodrons. Naruto blocked and kicked the pteranodron away and got in a Muay Thai stance. He blocked and attacked from behind with an elbow and landed a spinning elbow to the shot of the head. He turned and roundhouse kick a charging one. He rushed and stepped up on the pteranodron's chest and kicked it in the face and extended his left leg out, hitting another behind him in the face. Kira was grabbed but used her acrobatic skills thanks to her gem and landed a few kicks and punches and then jumped kicking another as she stood in front of the squealing Kylie, adopting a defensive fighting stance as she glared at the few pteranodrons around them, daring them to step forward. Kira, what are you doing? She shrieked. Ask later, run now. Kira ordered and the frightened pop star nodded, running off as noisily and squeamishly as she could. The Yellow Ranger then lunged forward, ducking under the swipe of a drone and bringing her leg back up behind her to kick the drone in the gut. Another scream from Kylie interrupted her fight and it was enough for a pteranodron to knock her to the ground. She groaned, slightly dazed, and looked up to see its large-scaled and sharp sword arm come ripping through the air towards her and her voice caught in her throat, keeping her from unleashing her sonic scream. The blow never came as green flash appeared, revealing to be Naruto as he jumped kicked the pteranodron, sending it flying into a post. He stood and held his hand out to help Kira up. She accepted it and got up. A scream from Kylie caught the two's attention. They glanced down the parking lot to where a bunch of pteranodrons had darted off around a corner. Go after Kylie, I'll help Connor hold down the fort, he told her. She nodded and ran to the direction of the scream. Skidding to a stop, she found Kylie staring into her compact mirror as a flash of purple signaled the drones and Donkeyvac warping away. My face. She cried in anguish. My beautiful face. Kira sighed, walking over to her and patting her comfortingly as the other two arrived, not saying a word. Naruto and Connor returned and saw Ethan and Tommy watching the Ranger base computer screen as it showed various places Donkeyvac was visiting, zapping energy out of people on the street. The donkey that can extract youth out of people. Ethan frowned, turning to look at the other three. That is wrong in so many ways. Mesogog's probably found a way to harness youth into energy. We have to figure out a way to fight it, Tommy stated glumly. He looked around then, noticing only 3 of 4 teenage rangers were present. Where's Kira? She's taking Kylie to cyberspace. Apparently, she had a meltdown seeing her shrivel face, not that I blame her, Naruto said. I gotta admit, it was pretty brutal, Connor nodded. "We'll talk about respect for your elders later," Tommy stated. "But right now, there's something we need to take care of." The four rangers walked into the center of the ranger base, bringing their wrists up as their Dino Gem bracelets flashed and turned into their morphers. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. They arrived where the monster was at and charged towards it with kicks, punches, but manages to block them, and it had knocked Ethan down. Tommy landed 2 punches and a kick, but it was unfazed and kicked him away. Connor went to attack, but it low sweep him off his feet. Naruto did a flying kick, but it dodged and went to attack with its arm, but Naruto grabbed it and started to knee it in the body, but was then kicked back. "Suckers," taunted the donkey creature. "Daily cyberspace. My career is over." Kylie whined. She sat on one of the cushioned chairs in cyberspace, with Kira seated on the sofa across from her, looking at her old friend as sympathetically as she could. "This is the worst thing that has happened to anyone, ever." "Oh come on, Kylie, I'm sure someone will find a way to reverse this," Kira stated. "But I was supposed to go on your request it tonight," she complained. "Just cause you look a little older doesn't mean you can't sing," the Yellow Ranger rocker explained. "Right." The pop diva scoffed. "Go on national TV looking like this, I must look at least 40. Kira rolled her eyes, sighing deeply before her Dino Gem bracelet went off. Realizing the others needed her, she started to get up, silently thanking the gods for this luck. "I gotta go." "No." Kylie pleaded, grabbing her hand and pulling her back onto the sofa seat. "Look, Haley will look after you," Kira promised. "You'll be fine." "But I want you to stay," Kylie whined. "You're my friend. You can't leave me like this." "Oh man, just hold on guys," Kira thought, sighing as she sat back down, ignoring the ranger call. As Ethan and Tommy were thrown a few feet away, Connor and Naruto tag-teamed the Donkeyvac using their power weapons, the Tyranno Staff and the Veloci Talons. It didn't take long before the Donkeyvac wrapped an arm around Connor's weapon and Naruto's wrist and pulled with such strength that the rangers were lifted off their feet and sailed through the air, crashing onto the ground. "Damn it, we need Kira now," Naruto yelled. "I called her, she's not answering," Connor replied. They looked up in time to see Cassidy and Devin get blasted and turn old. "Catch me if you can." Donkeyvac teased the rangers, running off. Connor, Naruto and Ethan pursued the monster, but before Tommy could join. "Not so fast, Black Ranger. We still have a score to settle, or have you forgotten?" Zeltrax appeared with his shield and sword. "I told you, I have no idea what you're talking about," Tommy told him. Zeltrax blasted energy from his sword, sending Tommy away. "What am I going to do? I can't face my public looking like this." Kylie's still whining. "Calm down, Kylie, you're not the only one in trouble. This thing is attacking people all over the city," Kira stated matter-of-factly. "Really?" she asked, sounding indifferent. "Well, that is not my problem. I'm Kylie Styles." The dirty blonde sighed, reaching into her pocket to pull out an audio tape, handing it to Kylie. "This is the Kylie I used to know," she stated as the pop diva took the tape. She was someone who cared about other people, not just herself. Her Dino Gem bracelet went off again, this time not only from the red gem's call, but also from green. "I gotta go," she told her old friend, getting up and leaving cyberspace. Kylie watched her go before sighing and sticking the tape in the air, behind her, where she knew Haley was watching. "Can you play this for me?" The Redeed walked over and grabbed the tape, walking over to put it in the player. As Kylie absent-mindedly played with her silver hair, acoustic guitar flowed out through the speakers and the joined voices of 2 girls sounded out. "Through love, can't take it no more. Through love, it broke my heart, it made my whole life sore. He said he'd buy my baby, then why did he betray me?" Temptation got to his head. Kylie hugged her blanket closer, images of a teen garage band entering her mind. By the time Connor, Naruto and Ethan caught up to the Donkeyvac, he had made it to the tennis courts. The Red Ranger looked around, seeing the way they came was the only way in or out. "Alright, we've got it cornered." He grinned. "Good, I hate it when they run," Naruto said. "That's what you think." Donkeyvac cackled, powering up. Laser beams shot from its nose and blasted the 3 teens right off their feet in a shower of sparks. They fell hard on the ground, holding back curses that were drowned out by hisses of pain. Donkeyvac stepped forward, a threatening stride in his step. "It's over, Rangers." Naruto, Connor and Ethan grimaced, straining to sit up. "This guy is brutal," Naruto groaned. "You said it," Ethan agreed. Taking his leadership role, he stood in front. The 3 Rangers suddenly clasped their hands over their ears as a scream unlike any other broke out through the air. A scream they recognized very well. Yellow sound waves knocked Donkeyvac off his feet and sent him flying across the tennis court as the unmorphed Kira came into view. The guys ran next to her as they complained about their ears hurting, except Naruto. "Good, we can use your help." He smiled underneath his helmet. "Sorry guys, I should have given you the heads up on the Ptera scream." Kira sheepishly apologized. "Excellent. Dunkevak said greedily, standing up. More youth for me. I don't think so, she stated wryly, bringing her wrist up as her morpher appeared. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. As the yellow latex molded itself onto her body, the cry of the pterodactyl rang out in the court and she grinned under her mask. Terra power. The four rangers called upon their Thundermax sabers, leaping forward to attack the creature. A few fight maneuvers later, and the rangers were rolling across the grounds after being hit by a large laser blast. Kira rolled to a stop beside a bucket of tennis balls and rackets. She looked at them and had an idea. She picked up the racket and 2 tennis ball think you're up for a single match. Kira dared the monster, which stood across from her on the other side of the net. You're no match for me. Dunkevak chuckled. We'll see about that. Kira stated as she launched the balls into the air, putting all her strength into a good hit that sent the 2 tennis balls hurtling towards Dunkevak as it fired off its lasers. Unaware of the trajectory of the tennis balls, they smashed into his nostrils, clogging the laser and it backfired, throwing him backwards in a shower of sparks. Let's put it together. Naruto said. Totally, Kira nodded and the guys agreed as they called out their power weapons, putting them together as Connor stood behind the weapon and they used Kira and Ethan's shoulders to support it. Fire. The beam tore through Dunkevak, obliterating it as tiny pieces drifted to the ground. Small orbs of purple light shot out from the destroyed monster pieces and flew away in different directions. We did it. Kira cheered. Not yet. Naruto said as black clouds rolled in and purple rain poured as the monster grew giant. Whoa. Exclaimed the four. Kira lifted her morpher near her helmet. Dr. Oliver, this might be the good time for some heavy metal. Kira said. You got it. Tommy said and the Brichizard arrived releasing the 3 Zords. Go get him. Naruto said as the 3 nod jumping into their Zord. He looked seeing his sensei fighting Zeltrax and went to help him, but by the time he got there Zeltrax was on the ground as Tommy standing tall in victory. Whatever your problem is, I don't have time for it right now. Tommy declared. This isn't over. Zeltrax limped away vanishing in a green portal. Tommy saw his student coming over. You alright sensei? Naruto asked. Tommy nodded. Yeah, I'm okay. They both looked at the Megazord finishing the Dunkevak. I've been wanting to ask you if you were alright. Tommy said as Naruto looked at him. Earlier I saw you frown. Is everything okay? He asked him. Naruto nodded with hesitation. Yeah, I'm alright sensei. He assured. Tommy knew his student was lying, but he wasn't going to push it. Naruto was talking to Ethan about video games which he was new at. Hey, that's me. Where did you get that? Naruto heard a surprise Kira. Where do you think? Haley smirked as Trent walked past. Kira left her side, walking over to the busboy. That's what you were drawing? Kira inquired, catching his attention as he turned to face her. Yeah, I don't know why Haley put it up, but you know how insistent she can be, he replied. No, it's great, she smiled. But how come you drew me as a superhero? 'Cause you're brave, he stated. Getting on stage, saying stuff from your heart, not conforming to some image. Besides. Trent went on, smiling sheepishly. Superheroes are all I know how to draw. Thanks, it's really sweet, she told him, smiling kindly. Haley then called over, signaling her presence on stage, and she nodded. Naruto frowned at this but didn't say anything and saw the drawing. Kira walked onto the stage, picking her friends out of the crowd in a few places. The boys and Tommy with Kimberly at their usual table, Trent and Haley at the counter. I wrote this song with a friend of mine a long time ago. I hope you like it. Kira stated, smiling. She began with light, simple chords on her acoustic guitar and stepped closer to the microphone as some in the crowd smiled. Taking a deep breath, she looked up at them and began to sing. Best friends. They come and go depending on your highs and your lows. My best friend decided not to be there when I needed her the most. I thought you'd be there for me. Then why did you lie to me? Using me to get what you want. Then I couldn't believe it happened. No, I couldn't understand. As Kira paused before the next verse, someone stepped onto stage with her, walking up to the microphone. The crowd cheered as Kylie Styles joined in with Kira Ford when the chorus picked up. True love walked out the door. Couldn't take it no more. True love. It broke my heart. You make my whole life sore. He said he'd be my baby. Then why did he betray me? Temptation got to his head. Then I left him, yeah. And this is what I said. It feels like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It feels right. It just feels that way. It just feels that way. It feels like it'll be a better day. 'Cause I believe that in the end. Good things are coming my way. As the song came to an end, the crowd roared with applause and the 2 girls on stage smiled. Kylie hugged her old friend. Thanks for this, Kira, she smiled, and the Yellow Ranger thought she saw a brief piece of the old Kylie Styles return to the surface before the pop diva stepped off stage and into a crowd of fans asking for autographs. Once the song was done, Trent walked to her and so did the boys, saying she was amazing. Naruto took this opportunity to slip away. He was close to the exit but accidentally bumped into someone and with his ninja's reflexes, catched a person from falling down. "I'm sorry, I didn't see where you were going." Naruto's voice died in his throat as he saw the person who turned out to be a stunning girl around 17 with blonde long straight hair and light blue eyes. She wore a light blue sleeveless top with a necklace, light blue jeans and white shoes. He snapped out of it, "My bad, I'm sorry." Naruto apologized and left. The girl looked as Naruto left. "Wow, he's pretty cute," she thought to herself but snapped out of it as she remembered why she came here. Naruto was wearing a green muscle tank top with black sweats and barefoot. He was in Tommy's gym as he was kicking the punching and doing punches and a mid-air back kick. He continued to punch the bag for about 3 minutes and stopped as he panted. 1 minute of rest and he returned to kicking the bag. He didn't know it, but Tommy was behind him leaning at the door as he saw the intensity Naruto's attack and looked at the knee and elbow strikes. Naruto did a rising knee making the heavy bag swing. He pants as he finished. He grabbed a towel and wiped the sweat and saw his sensei at the door. "What's up, sensei?" Naruto asked. "The guys were wondering where you were, everything fine?" Tommy asked. "Yeah, I'm alright, just thought I'd do some training," Naruto said. "Alright, but you owe Kira an apology. She was kind of hurt when she didn't see you congratulate her," Tommy told him. Naruto felt like kicking his own ass. What's going on with him? He could have at least congratulated her. "I'll do that for sure," he promised. "Good. But there's another reason I wanted to talk to you," Tommy said and looked serious. "You said you were able to use chakra again from your partner, right?" he asked. Naruto nodded but was unaware Kurama was listening too. "I think your chakra is what we need to restore it," Tommy said. Naruto looked confused. "Restore what?" he asked. "Follow me," Tommy told him as he left while Naruto followed. They had got downstairs down to the Dino lair. Tommy went to the computer typing a few things and soon a wall opened showing an object. A silver green dagger with the handle being black and had flute notes. The hilt had a gold coin with a dragon foot design on it. Naruto eyes widen as he remembers the objective and then looked at his sensei. "Looks like I got explaining to do." Tommy chuckled seeing his student reaction. Naruto staring at the Dragon Dagger thinking about last night talk with his sensei. Flashback. Naruto was still gaping in disbelief as he looked at the dagger flute with a gold Dragon Zord power coin on the hilt. This was the same dagger and coin his sensei used when he became a ranger the first time and to call the Dragon Zord. He snapped out of his state and looked at his sensei. "But I thought you said you only found the crane power coin." He was confused and Tommy rubbed the back of his neck and chuckled. "Well, I may have lied a tiny bit, but Kimberly's power coin wasn't the only thing we managed to find. I found the Dragon Dagger with the power coin. To be honest, I didn't think it was possible to be restored, but surprisingly Haley managed to do it, except for one problem," he sighed at the end. "What is it?" Naruto asked. "The energy we tried to use for the Dragon Zord was not enough as it required more energy," Tommy explained. Naruto not understanding so far. "At first I thought about your Dino Gem, since it would be perfect as it uses the same energy as the Dragon Zord, but that could possibly drain every ounce of energy from the gem and it still would not be enough," Tommy said. "But that's where I come in, right?" Naruto asked as Tommy nodded. "That's right, with your partner's energy combined with the Dino Gem, it would be enough to restore it." Naruto had looked at the dagger flute and stepped forward taking a closer look. "We'll try it tomorrow, it's getting late," said Tommy. Naruto followed his sensei out the lair and looked back on more time at the dagger and he swore he heard a dragon roar. Then flashback. He was right now discussing with Kurama. "What do you think, Kurama?" he asked. "From what I saw in your memory that Dragon Zord can come in big handy. I have a feeling you'll be running into a more powerful foe soon." He heard Ethan calling his name. He stopped and ran to the computer typing a few things he saw Tommy do and shut the secret wall. Ethan saw Naruto typing. "Hey, what's up?" Ethan asked. Naruto played cool. "Oh, nothing, just looking back at the past rangers that sensei told me about," he said and silently congratulated himself for that excuse. "Oh yeah, it was so intense, I'll tell you. Anyways, I wanted to know if you wanted to hang out at cyberspace. I got to finish a government project. And I still want a rematch," grinned Ethan. Ever since Naruto played video games the first time with Ethan, he got hooked up to it and was already good as Ethan, who took this as a challenge. Naruto grinned. "I'm up for it," he said and decided he could wait. Haley cyberspace. "Oh man," Trent sighed, rushing from one end of the bar counter to the other, picking up bottles and glasses as he went. Unfortunately for the busboy, cyberspace was packed and being the only available waiter, he was stuck doing half the work with Haley. He grabbed a smoothie and lemonade and walked off towards the table, stopping in his tracks when Ethan found him. "Trent, I gotta go home soon," Think you can spare a few minutes for our government project? I'm really sorry, Ethan, Trent sounded drained. We just got slammed all of a sudden. Okay, Ethan nodded, understanding. Waiter. Order up. Hello. Cassidy yelled from her table with Devon. As she continued to snap her finders and call him. Ethan chuckled. You do what you gotta do, Ethan patted him on the back, smirking. I'll find something to keep me busy until you get a break. Naruto smirked at this. That'd be great, Trent nodded. Thanks. Ethan nodded and turned back to the computer while Naruto waited. Waiter. Cassidy continued to yell, snapping her fingers. You know, Cass, look, I don't think they like the whole clicky thing, Devon told her. You see, my brother he's a waiter and… Save it, Devon, she snapped. Every second my decathlete sits at the counter it loses foam. And I hate it when they lose foam. There you go, 1 decathlete, Trent announced, placing the blue mug on her table. Thanks, she smiled. You know, doing this government in action project has left me totally parched. That's nice, Trent stated before turning away. Devon tugged on his sleeve. Trent, I hate to be a drag, but, you know, Devon started, making motion with his hands of drinking something as he smiled. Oh man, your smoothie, Trent sighed. Sorry Dev, I'll be right back. Thanks Trent. Devon nodded and the busboy walked off to get it. Watching them, Ethan shook his head. Man she is just like Ino back in the day in the academy, Naruto muttered. Wanna see something cool? Ethan whispered. Does it involve an embarrassing prank? He looked serious. Ethan was taken back by this but continued. Watch, he stated, typing away at his computer. He then turned and Naruto followed his gaze to watch Cassidy and Devon at their table. Cassidy, laptop on and working, typed away on their project and as soon as she hit the enter key, a huge scream erupted from her speakers. AHH. She screamed, jumping in her seat. Did you hear that? Yeah, be hard not to, Devon laughed. Naruto held Ethan's shoulder for support as he tried to keep his laughs low, but it was hard. What's this button do? Naruto curiously pushed it. Cassidy was frowning at the keyboard. Trying again, she pressed another button on her computer, only to have a fart sound loudly. People around looked in disgust. That was not me, make it stop. She whined. Naruto and Ethan were laughing, and suddenly their view was blocked by Haley, and the retard did not look pleased. Having fun? She inquired. You could say we are. Naruto laughed, but the retard's glare silenced him. Okay, I'm stopping, Ethan obliged. He reversed the process, but not before he let Cassidy's computer emit one last fart when she touched a key. The guys laughed hard, but soon it died out, the door to cyberspace opened, and Anton Mercer strolled in. Trent spotted him and walked over, frowning. Dad. What are you doing here? I thought I'd give you a ride home, you ready? He asked. I don't think I can leave right now, in the middle of work. Look, son, I don't mean this to sound elitist, but don't you think a managerial position would suit you better? I mean, come on, all this running around, slinging milkshakes it doesn't really scream Mercer. Dad, I like working here, Trent told him. And besides, I'm in high school, this is what kids do. Well, it's not what I did. Anyway, lem think about it and maybe we can come up with a compromise we can both live with. Dad, Trent sighed. I'm fine. I'll see you at home, Anton smiled before walking out. Trent nodded and went back to the counter, where Devon had one hand on the smoothie machine, watching intently as the contents swirled around. Dev? Trent was going to ask. Oh hey, Trent, Devon chuckled a bit. Look I just figured I'd make my own, is that okay? Why not, Trent shrugged, smiling. As he walked off, Devon smiled happily, dropping random bits of fruit into the mixer before starting it up again. Unfortunately, he forgot to put the cap on again, so when things started mixing, they also started shooting out the top into his face. An hours passed by and Ethan left back home, while Naruto hanged out with his sensei who arrived, and they both had talked for a while. Trent got off work and spotted Dr. Oliver and asked him if he could get a lift back home, which Tommy said it was no problem. Thanks for giving me a ride home, Dr. O, Trent stated as Tommy and Naruto walked out of cyberspace later that afternoon. Dad would have freaked if I'd gotten home late again. No problem, Tommy nodded. Hey, speaking of your dad, there's something I've been wondering. All those years working with your father and he never mentioned he had a son. Naruto had listened in. He didn't, Trent shrugged. Have one that is. Him and my real parents worked together on a dig a few years ago. There was a cave-in, my parents never got out. I'm sorry to hear that, Tommy sighed. Naruto didn't show it but felt bad for Trent losing a parent to a tragedy. He's been great though. He's taken me in, given me everything, you know, a home, a life. Not a lot of people would have done that. Yeah, Dr. Oliver nodded as the three clambered into his jeep and buckled in. As they drove down the road, Naruto had felt something was wrong and looked behind. What the? He frowned, seeing someone running super fast behind them and catching up to the car. At first, he thought it was Connor, but he knew better not to use his powers in the opening. Sensei, we may have company," Naruto said, confusing Tommy, but looked in the rearview mirror, seeing the monster Trent. "Look, do you see that?" The bus boy turned around and spotted the running figure. "The big gold guy running like 50 miles an hour behind us?" he asked. Tommy suddenly slammed his foot on the brake and the figure went smashing into the back of the car, hitting the spare tire before bouncing back a few feet to the ground. The three exchanged glances before unbuckling and getting out. "What is that thing?" Trent inquired as they walked over to examine the gold-armored person sprawled on the pavement. "Oh man, my insurance company's never gonna buy this," Tommy sighed. "Really? Cause I figure with the many invasions they would believe anything," Naruto asked. Suddenly, the golden person's fists clenched and it came straight up onto its feet. "Which one of you is Dr. Oliver?" it questioned. Trent hesitated, glancing at his teacher, who then stepped forward in front of them. "That'd be me," he replied. "Then prepare for your demise," it growled, lunging forward. Reacting swiftly, the science teacher pushed Trent out of the way before engaging the creature in battle. Naruto jumped in as he joined in the fight. However, it seemed the golden fighter was always a step ahead, and all hits Tommy and Naruto landed on him seemed to do nothing whatsoever. Their opponent grabbed Tommy's arm and twisted it, followed by a kick, sending him crashing against the back of his jeep. Naruto dodged a lethal kick and blocked, returning a few combo kicks which he blocked, and Naruto hit a couple of jabs that the golden person blocked, but he faked a left and hit a hard right hook. Naruto was going for a kick but was grabbed by the leg and punched in the chest, sending him back hard on the pavement, and was helped up by Trent and thanked him. The golden person paused and a fighting stance were applied before rushing forward again to attack Naruto and Tommy. From the sidelines near the jeep, Trent watched in awe and confusion as his science teacher and Naruto unleashed some major karate moves on the golden dude. He hid behind the tire as Tommy and Naruto were flung onto the shoulder of the road. Naruto got up charging at the monster, while Tommy crawled to the front of his jeep, where he knew Trent couldn't see him. "Time to call for backup, just hold on, Naruto," he said, activating his Dino Gem bracelet. Naruto managed to push back the golden person, but was eventually grabbed by the arm and was kicked in the gut 3 times and roundhouse, sending him back on the pavement next to Tommy. "You must be destroyed," the golden figure stated as he towered above them. Tommy was tired out from the fight already and didn't have the energy to stand up and fight yet, and Naruto was taking too much damage. As his enemy raised his laser arm and pointed, Trent was on the rescue as he lunged forward, wrapping his arms around the golden fighter's neck and throwing him to the ground. For a busboy he wasn't bad, as he got up to stand defensively in front of Tommy. "No, Trent, stay back," his teacher told him, getting to his feet. "Yeah, me and Sensei got this," Naruto added in. "I can help," he insisted as he ran forward to meet the golden fighter in battle. Those karate and self-defense lessons growing up had apparently stuck with him all these years as he launched into the fight, whether it affected the golden man or not. Despite this, he was thrown onto the pavement moments later, getting up to fight and returned to the pavement a second time. Now him, Tommy and Naruto could take no more as they leaned against the jeep's wheels, watching as Goldenrod walked towards them. Naruto was about to ask Kurama for chakra, but suddenly, 3 laser beams shot out from somewhere, making Goldenrod somersault and fall to the ground. The 3 looked down the road, they witnessed the Rangers coming up over the hill on their Raptor cycles. All 3 skidded to a stop and dismounted, running over. "Are you okay?" Connor asked as they passed Dr. Oliver and Naruto, who nodded and they went on. "Trent, are you alright?" Kira inquired worriedly, seeing the busboy sitting at the back of the jeep, groaning in pain. Naruto frowned as Kira passed by him, not that he blamed her, knowing she was upset with him. "How do you know my name?" he frowned. She gasped, realizing she was in uniform and wasn't Kira Ford at the moment. As Ethan and Connor began a tag team assault on Goldenrod, they had managed to get the golden fighter to his knees again, just as Zeltrax teleported in on a green flash. "I was wondering when you'd show up," Connor said, glaring at Zeltrax. "You," he barked, looking behind him. "Return with me at once." "But father," Goldenrod protested. "I haven't completed my mission." "Goldenrod, do as you're told," Zeltrax growled. "Yes, father," he nodded, and they were gone in a flash of green electricity. "Father?" Connor frowned. Did he just call him father? "I think so," Ethan nodded. Kira ran up to them. "You guys alright?" she asked as they nod. Naruto walked up to them. "Glad you made it," he said, and noticed the Yellow Ranger crossing her arms. "I owe you an apology for not congratulating on your performance. It was dumb of me just to blow off like that. Can you please forgive me?" he asked her. She was silent for a minute but sighed and smiled behind her helmet and playfully punched his arm. "You're lucky you're my friend." Kira said, making him chuckle. Anton Mercer sat at his desk, slicing a letter open with a knife. "Hey," Trent called as he walked into the room, causing his father to look up. "You're home late," Mercer stated. "Yeah, Dr. Oliver gave me a ride," he replied, dropping his bag to the floor and sitting down in one of the chairs. "Had a little car trouble." "I see," his father was looking at the letter he'd just opened, half listening. "Hey Dad, how come you and he don't hang out anymore? I mean, I thought you guys were good friends." "Trent, you'll find that as you grow up, different people come in and out of your life. Dr. Oliver and I had our time, and now we've both moved on to different things." "I see," Trent nodded, almost mimicking his father's half-listening tone from earlier. "Now speaking of moving on, I think I've found a solution to your dilemma." "My dilemma?" Trent inquired, confused. "Yeah, the cyber cafe," his father replied, looking up at him and straightening his tie. "I've decided to buy it." "What?" exclaimed Trent. "Simple thank you would be just fine," his father stated, proud of himself. "Dad, would you? I mean how?" "Well, it seems the cafe is on land lease from the city," Mercer explained. "So whoever owns the land gets to decide what goes there, and now I own the land." He tossed the papers from the letter across the table, within Trent's reach. He picked them up, reading them over and shaking his head. "But what about Haley?" he asked. "She's my boss. My friend." "She's your friend, yes, boss definitely not," his father replied. "That will soon be you." "I don't want to run the cyber cafe. I mean, I barely have enough time to work there now between my drawing and school." "Trent," his father sighed. "I might be imagining things, but you sound amazingly ungrateful." "This isn't what I want," Trent exclaimed. "Doesn't that count for anything?" "Of course it does, okay? I've already factored that into my decision and in the end I've decided it's what's best for you," Anton stated. "It's what's best for us, as a family." Naruto was talking to Ethan about the Land of the Snow mission, to which he'd been bugging about to hear. "I don't believe it," Haley cried, slamming papers onto the counter in front of Ethan, Naruto and Tommy. She sighed heavily. "Junk mail?" Tommy inquired. "I wish," she groaned, pointing at the papers. "Check this out." Tommy obliged and picked them up to read, as Ethan frowned. "What's it say?" he asked. "A letter from the city. Seems as of tomorrow I have a new landlord," Haley replied. "Not just any landlord," Tommy stated, reading the papers. "Anton Mercer." "Uh-oh," Naruto cringed. "He's gonna rebuild the whole cafe," Haley sighed. "And he's going to replace me." "With who?" Ethan frowned. Haley looked up to where Trent stood, and Tommy, Naruto and Ethan's gazes followed to rest on the busboy. "So you've heard," Trent sighed in defeat. "So what's the deal, man?" Ethan asked. "One rough day at the office so your rich daddy buys it for you?" "No," Trent said, walking over. "It's not like that. I had nothing to do with it." "Well, we can either sit here and wait till the day comes or we can do something," Naruto said. "Naruto's right. I got a friend at City Hall, maybe we could check out the deal and see if Mercer missed something," Tommy offered, unaware that Cassidy Cornell was listening. "I've known my dad long enough to know he doesn't make mistakes," Trent groaned. "For human beings, no one in the world can be perfect," Naruto said. "Tommy nodded. "I've known your dad long enough to know he does," he stated reassuringly as he stood up and looked at the blue-clad computer boy. "Ethan, Naruto, come on," he told them. "Wait, I'm going with you. This is because of me. I'll go whatever it takes to fix this," he promised, looking up at Haley. The Redeed nodded. "Did you hear that?" Cassidy stated excitedly, a few feet away with Devon. "Yeah, I mean, it really makes you feel like going out there and fighting for what's right," Devon nodded proudly, making Cassidy frown. "Huh? Oh right. The report. Yeah, we should probably get it done first." "Yeah, this is perfect," she stated matter-of-factly. "It's got government, it's got action. Only thing is, what do you wear to City Hall? I mean, is it dressy?" Devon shrugged. As Tommy pulled to a stop, he and the three teens got out of the jeep. "Man, I hope there's something we can do," Trent sighed. "Me too," Tommy nodded as a woman in a plaid red dress came up. "Dr. Oliver, my office said you were coming down." "Councilwoman Sanchez," he nodded, shaking her hand. "Thanks for taking the time." She nodded as well as smiled, just as Zeltrax and Goldenrod teleported in through purple electricity. She noticed them and screamed, hiding behind the four boys as they adopted fighting stances. "There?" Zeltrax growled. "I see them," Goldenrod nodded, before sending a bright gold laser their way. They yelled and Trent jumped out of the way, pulling Sanchez with him as Tommy, Naruto and Ethan flipped backwards out of the laser's path. "I will make you proud, father." Goldenrod blasted another laser beam that nearly hit Ethan, Naruto and Tommy, but Ethan was able to deflect it subtly with his invulnerability powers, and Naruto just flipped and dodging the laser beam. "Trent!" Tommy yelled. "Take Councilwoman Sanchez where it's safe." Got it, he nodded, before pulling the frightened woman along and away from the fight. Yoo-hoo! Cassidy yelled as she and Devon stepped onto the scene. Council lady. Cassidy Cornell. We were here first. Oh no, not them, Naruto smacked his forehead and groaned. Intruders. Goldenrod growled, and both Devon and Cassidy turned around, gasping as they spotted the two creatures. The golden armored figure sent a laser beam their way, and Cassidy screamed as it hit at their feet, sending them flying into the bushes beside the sidewalk. This is why I hate politics. She whined. Let's get out of here. Devon nodded and they grabbed their things, running off. Tommy, Ethan and Naruto were in fighting stance by then and rushed forward to meet Goldenrod in battle. But he was doing good as he blocked the punch and kicks. He twisted Ethan's arm and tossed him away, he then blocked Tommy's punches and mid-air jump back kick him in the chest. Naruto pressed a button on his morpher to call Kira and Connor. He charged giving a kick to the gut which was blocked, then a left and right repeated punches as it blocked, but Naruto got a hold of the Goldenrod arm and gave a little payback as he repeated kicks in the gut but was eventually kicked away. This is safe, Trent announced, feeling they were far enough away. He made sure no monsters had followed and the councilwoman sat down on a bench. Thank you so much. She told him. If there's ever anything I can do for you. Actually, he began. I'd like to speak to you about Haley's cyberspace. Alright, she nodded and he sat down with her. My father, Anton Mercer, he's making a terrible mistake. Despite still tag team efforts, it seemed Goldenrod was a bit much for Tommy and Ethan as they were thrown backwards a few feet. Naruto stepped in then, taking on the golden fighter for a few moments and grabbed him around the back of the head, kneeing him in the body before Naruto too was thrown back to the pavement. Your son got a lot stronger, Tommy growled. Seriously, what do you feed him? Sarcastically said Naruto. They grow up so fast, Zeltrax mused. Don't they? At that instant, Kira and Connor arrived, skidding a stop beside their friends. We got Naruto's message about fighting City Hall, Connor stated. He must have meant fight in front of it, Kira pointed out. You guys ready? Tommy inquired and they all nodded, brining their wrists up to their chests. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. Their ranger suits molded to their bodies and their battle cries rang out once they were morphed. Tyrannodrons. Attack. Zeltrax yelled and a handful of creatures teleported in through a flurry of purple lightning. Destroy them. Goldenrod led the attack and the rangers dispersed among the creatures with their Thundermax sabers in hand, battling away. Fighting side by side, Naruto and Kira took out a large number of Tyrannodrons before Kira was slashed across the back by Goldenrod's sword. She cried out in pain and slumped forward and Naruto turned in time to catch her. Kira. I'm okay, Kira stated, using his arms to help her up before she faltered and slumped forward again. He slowly helped her into a sitting position up against a tree. Okay, maybe not. Green Ranger. Goldenrod yelled and Naruto looked up towards the fighter. Meet me in a challenge or your beloved Yellow Ranger perishes. For starters, she's not my beloved, she's my friend, Naruto shouted, getting to his feet and standing protectively in front of the wounded Kira. And secondly, just try to get her, because there's no way you're hurting her again. Naruto. So be it, Goldenrod stated, and the sound of his voice implied a smirk. He rushed forward, swinging his sword down in a motion meant to crash into Naruto's head, but he blocked it with his velocitalons. He leaned back, slashing his opponent's sword out of the way before roundhouse kicking him in the face. Goldenrod faltered, but didn't fall and retaliated, kicking Naruto in the stomach. It sent him stumbling backwards before backflipping away from him. Ducking under the swipe of Goldenrod as he rushed him again, Naruto jumped to his feet, launching himself at his opponent and slashing him across the chest. Both the Green Ranger and Creation jumped at one another, weapons slashing and coming together. Hey Zeltrax, Tommy began in a taunting tone as his Brachio staff and Zeltrax's sword locked together. Sending your son to do what you couldn't. I will take you myself, Zeltrax growled, before glancing down the way to where Naruto and Goldenrod were locked in their own fight. He twisted out of Tommy's grip and kicked him in the back, pushing him away. Goldenrod. Attack the city. Yes, father. Goldenrod nodded, gaining new energy in his fight with Naruto, which was enough to slash the Green Ranger across the chest and kick him, sending him hurtling backwards, where he landed on the pavement beside Kira. Goldenrod raised his sword into the air and cried out fiercely, before turning into a small golden orb that flew off through the air. Suddenly, a little ways away, over the building, they spotted Goldenrod towering high above them, Megazord's size. I'm larger than life. He yelled. Whoa. Kira breathed as she and Naruto were able to rejoin their teammates. I'm gonna rock the city. Goldenrod exclaimed from high above, making the Rangers realize a task was still at hand. That's our cue, Tommy announced, talking into his morpher. Brachio, do your thing. Suddenly the ground shook as the huge and towering black Dinozord stomped through the city. It stopped into a clearing, and panels opened as the red, yellow and blue Dinozords came out, ready for battle. Dino Rangers, go. Connor called and he, Kira and Ethan jumped up and into their Zords, and it started to form into a Megazord and went to battle. Naruto with Tommy were fighting Zeltrax as they tag-teamed. Both teacher and student clashed their weapons against Zeltrax sword, pushing each other back for dominance. Vengeance will be mine at last, grunted Zeltrax struggling to push back. You keep talking about vengeance, you sure you got the right guy? Sarcastically asked Tommy. I know that you are my sworn enemy for life. Zeltrax growled. I seriously don't know what you're talking about, Tommy said. Then I will explain it to you after I make you watch my son destroy your beloved students and finish you off, Green Ranger. Zeltrax declared. Naruto hearing that pissed him off and broke the hold and slashed Zeltrax twice against the chest, and Tommy flipping backwards and propelled himself off a building pillar and slashed Zeltrax across the chest, making him flying back, landing on the pavement, and as he got up he fell face first as a little explosion happened behind him. Sensei and students saw Zeltrax crawled weakly. Never threaten my friends, Naruto said. And student. Tommy finished and both left as they got close to the battle and saw the Megazord losing and knew that the guys needed help. They looked up seeing Goldenrod foot coming down and had moved out of the way. Naruto, it's time to use it, Tommy called out to his student. Naruto nodded and appeared in his hands was the Dragon Dagger. Flashback. Naruto was downstairs in the Dino lair getting scanned, Haley was on the computer screen and talking to Tommy who nodded and approached Naruto. Alright Naruto, after doing some scanning, the energy source you hold mixed with the Dino Gem should be enough to fully power the Dragon Zord coin. Haley turned back to him. Naruto nodded and Tommy put a hand on his shoulder. Remember, you don't have to do this, Naruto, he reminded him. Naruto shook his head. No way sensei, I never back down, he said with determination. Tommy saw Naruto's eyes filled with fire. He nodded. Naruto got close to the Dragon Dagger with the power coin in the hilt and extended his arm out. A mixture of red energy came from Naruto and green energy from the Dino Gem was absorbed into the coin. Naruto was sweating due to the effects using Kurama's chakra too long. He dropped on one knee feeling drained. Tommy was going to intervene, but Naruto stood back up. Giving. Up. Naruto declared, and soon the dagger flute was lifted and was glowing with power. Naruto was going to fall but was catched and was set down, passed out. You did it, Naruto, Tommy said with a proud smile. Then flashback. Naruto held the dagger and the energy of the Dragon Zord ran through his body. Appeared on his chest was the dragon shield and the top point part on his helmet was silver. Whoa, this feels awesome. Naruto excited. Naruto. Tommy called out to remind him. Oh, right, sorry. Naruto sheepishly apologized and then got serious. I call upon the power of the Dragon Zord, Naruto said and brought the handle to his mouth as he played the tune. Nothing happened. Sensei, what's going on? Naruto shouted and dodged another stomp. You have to put everything into it, Naruto, Tommy called out as he too dodged a stomp. Naruto looked at the Dragon Dagger, clenching it. Alright, everything, I got. My heart, my soul. Please let this work. Naruto played the flute harder. Suddenly from the nearest water it bubbled as a pair of glowing red eyes traveled through it and emerged was the legendary Dragon Zord as it whipped its tail with the tip being a drill and roared after being awake in so many years. It worked. Naruto cheered. You did, Naruto. Tommy congratulated him. Naruto played another tune as the dragon walked to the battle. The trio saw this and were shocked. No way. Connor in disbelief and laughed. Yes way, that's the Dragon Zord. Ethan cheered. But how though? Kira asked and they saw Naruto on top of a building playing the flute. News or not, I will destroy you, declared Goldenrod, charging with its double-bladed sword and went to strike, but Dragon Zord caught the blade with its hand and spun, whipping a tail, striking Goldenrod, knocking him down. Time to use some firepower, Naruto said, playing another flute note and the red dots on its chest blinked, making a beeping noise, and out of the Dragon Zord fingertips 10 missiles came out and launched multiple of them at Goldenrod as he got up but was taking too much fire, sending him back down again. That's what I'm talking about, Naruto grinned. Goldenrod stood up as he angrily charged and swung his double-bladed sword, which the Dragon Zord dodged and struck left and right punches to him, and as it whipped its tail, the drill tip activated, doing damage to him. Alright guys, he's all yours guys, Naruto told the trio through his morpher. Cool, let's do it, Connor told the two and they nod. The Megazord charged its drill and went through Goldenrod as he fell and exploded. The Megazord posed and the Dragon Zord roared in victory. He was the only family I've ever known, Zeltrax stated in despair. I'll have my revenge upon you, Green Ranger and Dr. Oliver. Dad, we need to talk, Trent stated as he walked into his father's office. You're not gonna be happy, but. He trailed off, seeing his father wasn't around. It was a glow of green that caught his eye, and as he turned he saw a green swirling portal. Confused and puzzled as to what it was, he reached out towards it. Suddenly, he was jolted forward through the portal. Anton Mercer walked into cyberspace, followed by a bunch of agents and contractors. "Okay," he began, looking around and pointing to his right. "Let's, get these walls torn out. We can save the computers." "Hang on," Haley stated, glaring. "You don't own it yet." "Haley," Anton sighed. "You know, as much as I hate to say this, sometimes you really can fight against City Hall." "I wouldn't so sure of that, Dr. Mercer," Councilwoman Sanchez stated, and Anton took a deep breath. "My name is Eleanor Sanchez, Councilwoman for the 33rd District. It is with great pleasure I inform you that the City Council has ordered to put your purchase of this land on hold." "You're a part of this?" Anton growled as Tommy stepped into view. "No, you have your son to thank," he answered. Eleanor smiled. "He made me realize that a place like this is a safe haven for learning and interaction for the youth of our community, is something that shouldn't be disturbed or taken away." As she spoke, Kira, Naruto, Connor and Ethan as well as a band of other teenagers and regulars to cyberspace joined her, standing up for what they believed in. "I was only trying to do what's best for my son," Anton stated. "Well, I'll just be going then." And with that he was off, taking his people with him. As the doors closed behind them, everyone burst into cheers and applause. "Bring the car back," Anton spoke on his phone. "There's been a change of plans." As he and his men walked off, Trent teleported in through the green haze, looking around and wondering how he'd wound up here. He watched as his father walked off, and his confusion broke when Devon stuck his head out of cyberspace, calling him. "Dude, come on, get in here." Devon grinned before disappearing inside. "Be right there," Trent nodded, watching his father angrily tip a chair before walking on. Naruto was talking to the guys and excused himself to find Kira, but when he did she was talking to Trent. He sighed and figured he would talk to her later. When he turned around he bumped into some. He paused and saw it was the same girl he bumped into a couple days ago. Sorry again." He apologized sheepishly. "You know, if I didn't know better I would say you bumping into me again isn't a coincidence," she playfully said. Naruto smiled sheepishly, scratching the back of his head. "Well, since we're talking we could introduce each other. I'm Naruto Uzumaki." He introduced himself and had his hand out, and the girl took his hand, shaking it. Tori Hansen." She gave a smile. "Yup, just another day of being a ranger." The weekend had gone by pretty good for Naruto. He got to hang out with Tori as they got to know each other. One day when they hanged out, Naruto had recently remembered Tori from the video his sensei showed him about the past rangers. She was the Blue Ninja Storm Ranger. When he got home he just kept smacking himself in the forehead for not realizing it sooner. One day Naruto had invited her over to his place and introduced her to Tommy and Kimberly. Tommy looked over at Naruto, knowing he wanted to show her who he was, which was fine, since he knew Tori was the Blue Ninja Storm Ranger. Flashback. Naruto and Tori were in office chairs as they just got done watching the video of the past rangers. He looked at Tori, who was just amazed learning of the past rangers. She even felt honored to be recognized by the original Power Ranger. She looked at Naruto, so that means she didn't need to finish, as Naruto nodded and showed his green Dino Gem, which turned to a Dino Morpher. "I'm a Power Ranger, have been for a couple months." He sheepishly scratched the back of his head. Naruto's hair is long again down to his neck with bangs on each side of his face. "You were also a real ninja?" she asked. "Shinobi, and yeah I was, but everything changed when I got here," he admitted, looking a little down as he sometimes misses his old friends. Tori saw Naruto's eyes and saw a little sadness in them, and she put her hand over his to comfort. "But you're happy now, right?" she asked. He looked at her and remembered the good times he's had with Tommy and Kimberly, hanging out with the guys, Kira. Then Tori. He gave a small smile. "Yeah, I am. So why don't we break out this mood and let's spar, besides I wanna see how good of a shinobi you say you are," Tori said. Naruto was surprised by her request, not that he was going to decline, since this will be the first time sparring against a different kind of ranger. Plus it's been a while since he's actually fought a ninja. "Alright, let's go." He gave a fox grin which made her kind of blush. Then flashback. What a spar, she defiantly has moves of her own and knew how to hold herself up. After the spar they had lunch together and talked more. He told her about his life, the Kyuubi sealed in him and the way he grew up. She was nearly in tears, but he assured her that it only made him stronger and more determined to prove them wrong and show who he really was. He got to know Tori more as she told him of her favorite things to do. Surfing, being the instructor for the Wind Ninja Academy, and hanging with her friends Dustin and Shane, who were the former Red and Yellow Ninja Storm Rangers. Yesterday he had ran into Haley, who was in the Dino lair working on something, and had asked her a big favor, and that was to create a sword for him. She was confused at first since Naruto had the Thundermax saber, but he wanted the sword to be connected to the Dragon Coin power. She said she'll see what she can do, which he appreciate. He was right now working on some project while Tori kept him company. He felt his cell phone vibrate and saw a text message from Ethan asking where he was at. The phone was snatched just as he sent the message back and saw Tori holding it. "No texting," she scolded, making him nervously chuckle, and took his phone back. "Sorry, it was just Ethan. He wanted me to come over at cyberspace for a video game rematch, but I told him I was working on my project and that I would hang out with you," he said. She remembered him introducing her to one of his friends. "Good, plus you promised me you would show me this Rasengan move," she reminded him. He chuckled and gave a grin. "I don't go back on my promises." The two looked at each other in silence and were lost in each other's eyes for a few seconds and snapped out of it, and both blushed, and Naruto looked back at his paper. He cleared his throat. "So I better get this finished, the sooner the better, right?" he joked, and she giggled. "Oh no you didn't," Ethan exclaimed, various beeps and sounds coming his computer as he furiously typed away, deeply in the game. From the table behind them, Connor groaned and rolled his eyes, exchanging looks with an equally annoyed Kira. They were attempting to work on their government project, but it was progressing slowly because they were having trouble concentrating with the video game noises. Finally, tired of it, Connor turned his gaze to the video gamer. "Dude, do you mind?" "Made it to level 12. Ethan cried. Connor reached over him and pressed the power button, effectively shutting down the game. "What are you doing?" Ethan exclaimed, turning to look at the Red Ranger. "I can't concentrate with you blowing up things in my ear," Connor told him. "It took me 3 hours to get to that level," Ethan said sadly. "Sorry, but I'm with Connor on this one," Kira nodded. "We got a paper due tomorrow, and why aren't you two working on yours? Finished it last week. Trent and I jammed on it all while you guys were up being David Beckham," and Ethan was cut short by a horrible death glare. "Oh, don't even say it," Kira snapped. "What, I wasn't going to," he said as he turned away, and Connor snickered. "Where's Trent anyway?" Kira asked, looking around. "I thought he was working today." "Haley gave him the day off," Connor muttered, his mood seemed to have gone a bit sour. "I think he's spending more quality time with his dad." She had noticed something else. "By the way, have you guys seen Naruto by any chance?" she asked. "I texted him earlier. He said he's at home finishing his paper for his project, then hang out with Tori," Ethan said. Kira's eyebrow furrowed at this before she asked Connor, "Spoke, who's Tori?" "The friend Naruto met her recently. She's actually pretty awesome. She's got crazy skills in surfing, and get this, she's was the Blue Ninja Storm Ranger," he said, surprising the two. "What, no way, you the mean from the video we saw?" Connor asked in disbelief as Ethan nodded, confirming it. As Connor began to ask more questions, Kira was in her thoughts. For some reason she felt irritated a tiny bit by this, but why? Ethan said they were friends, there wasn't need to be so bothered about this, right? Sounds like they're more than just ow. The Red Ranger felt a kick to the shin. "Oops, sorry." Kira sarcastically apologized. "Geez, women," muttered Connor, and Ethan snickered. Half an hour later, Naruto was in the backyard as he showed Tori the Rasengan as it formed in his hand and charged at the wood target and hit it, which tore the back of it. She was amazed at the results. "I could do more, but it would take more chakra, and I don't think my partner wants to waste any more," he admitted, but she nods as she understood. Naruto didn't expect Kurama to speak. "Yeah, Kurama. I think this girl can use chakra," he spoke, which surprised Naruto. "Really, how?" he asked. "Well, remember, she did have the power of water. In fact, she actually has chakra that's connected to the Element Nation." Naruto's eyes were wide at this. "So that means she came from the Element Nation then?" "Who knows, her parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on, who knows, but she does have small amount of chakra, which is weird considering she was a ranger before." "Well, from what I recall in the video, she used all her powers with her friends to seal away that Lothar guy. If you can help her, she may be able to use chakra to her advantage," Kurama suggested. "Good idea," Naruto commented and thanked him. He snapped out of it as Tori was snapping her fingers in front of his eyes as she called him out. "Sorry, Tori, what was that?" he asked. She looked at him. "You okay? You dazed out on me?" "Yes, sorry, I was speaking to my partner," he apologized. "It's fine, I was asking, is it possible for anyone to use chakra?" she asked. "Well, not really, anybody can just possess chakra easily. I think nowadays people don't know anything about it. But my partner said you are able to," he told her. "Wait, really?" she asked in surprise as Naruto nodded. "Yup, but that means you're going to have to start training to build it up. Lucky for me, I know ways that can help you." He looked around and found a perfect tree and walked towards it. Tori looked on as he stopped in front of a tree and put one foot up, then another, then starting to walk up. Tori jaw drop at this. This is called tree climbing exercise. This helps controls your chakra. If you can climb up in one try we can move on to the next exercise. He explained and jumped down landing safely. She looked and approached a tree. Try to concentrate. Once you find that warm feeling, focus that on the bottom of your feet, but don't use too much or you'll break the tree and fall. If too weak you'll fall. Naruto said. She nods as it sounds simple enough. She closed her eyes and concentrate. A few minutes passed by and she was about to say something, but then felt a warm energy that felt similar to her water powers, but at the same time different. She started to focus that energy to the bottom of her feet and placed her right foot on the tree, then her left and started to walk up the tree and was surprised she was doing it. Getting bolder she started to walk higher up. You did it, Tori. Naruto cheered for her. She looked back and lost her focus for a second causing her to fall, but Naruto dashed over catching her in his arms bridal style. Whoa, that was close one. He said jokingly and she smacked his arm. You distracted me. She pouted making him chuckle. The two had realized their faces were close and both had slowly started to feel hot. Suddenly a cleared throat broke the two's stare and turned to see a grinning Ethan, Connor, and a little annoyed Kira. Naruto put Tori down. Oh hey guys, what's up? He greeted them. We were just going to ask you that, said Connor. Naruto was going to ask what he meant. I gotta go, I'll text you later. Tori told him and he smiled. Alright then. And remember, just keep practicing. He told her as she walked away, giving a wave as she heard. He looked at the trio. So, what's up? Nothing, these guys, and by that, mostly Connor, wanted to meet Tori. Ethan said. So, I take it you know who she is? He asked. Yeah. Well, Ethan told us, but dude, she is Ho-Ow. Connor elbowed in the arm by the Yellow Ranger as she glared. Don't even. She threatened. Naruto laughed at this. Sometimes he's glad he has friends like them. Trent's home. Okay, I know I'm not losing my mind, Trent stated, looking up at the air in his father's office, where he'd found the Invisi portal no more than a week ago. It was right around here. He had a flashback of him arriving near the cafe through the Invisi portal and saw his dad. Trent. He was broken from his thoughts at his father's voice and looked to the door, where Anton Mercer stood. Can I help you with something? There's some weird stuff going on around here, Dad, Trent stated. I swear I went through some sort of interdimensional doorway. You know, I've gotta say I'm worried about you, son. You're working till all hours at this coffee house, obviously, you're not thinking straight. He walked over towards his desk. I'm gonna make an appointment with my doctor. I don't need a doctor. I need an explanation. I think you owe that to me. Trent demanded. Perhaps you can explain something to me. When did it become acceptable to speak to that way to your father? Asked Anton. All these other projects you're involved in, there's some weird stuff going on here, Dad, Trent stated, still searching for the portal. Whatever goes on around here, I can assure you, it's for the betterment of mankind. I promise you'll feel the same way. In time. In time? Trent asked, turning around. When? When you're ready, his father stated. Someday all I have will belong to you. It's a great responsibility, son, and one that we must prepare you for. We'll begin that process soon. He assured him, putting a hand on his shoulder. High school ref side. Alright, there's only so much you can learn in a classroom. Who's ready for some field work? Tommy stated as his students began packing their things and getting up from their seats. I'm actually pretty excited about this, hopefully I find something cool, maybe a raptor skull. Naruto said to the Yellow Ranger. I'm hoping to find something a little more airborne, Kira smiled. That'd be pretty awesome. He commented. Dr. Oliver, may we have permission to film today's dig for journalism class? Cassidy inquired, coming up to the front of the class. It's just I think it'll be good for my career if I start focusing on more exciting things like nature and science. Hey Cass, I thought you said this stuff was as dull as dirt. Devin frowned. Actually Devin, I think I was talking about our last conversation. Cassidy snapped. Relax, Cassidy, you can film the dig, Tommy chuckled. As the rest of the students left the classroom, he packed his things and turned to follow, only to find Principal Randall, who was dressed in archaeology equipment. Dr. Oliver, she stated. Principal Randall, are you in a play? Tommy questioned. No, I'm here to join you on your field trip, she grinned, proud of herself. I didn't know you were interested in dinosaur bones. Tommy confused at this. You'd be surprised in what interests me. Yeah, I probably would. He chuckled a quirky. Shall we? Yeah, the bus is right outside. You can dazzle me with fascinating fossil facts on the way, she smiled before walking off. Tommy looked at her strangely. Man, sometimes he's glad he's a married man. Big sight. Naruto had been digging with Kira, Connor and Ethan close by. He found some dinosaur bones, one to a Stegosaurus and another to a Brachiosaurus from what Tommy said. As he continued to dig, he found something in the dirt. He pulled it out and brushed the dirt off as it was a curve-shaped claw. Naruto was going to call Kira over to check out the claw, but then saw something where he dug. A green tiny light. He put the claw in his pocket and started to dig away at the dirt, and halfway saw what looked like a silver egg object. "Yo, you guys come over here," Naruto called as he continued to clod his way through dirt. Kira helped him out. Connor and Ethan came to crouch with him as Naruto dusted dirt off a silvery egg object with glowing green lights. "What is it?" Connor asked. "It looks like an egg," Ethan stated as Naruto pulled it free of the earth and examined it. "And it's got green lights," Naruto grinned. "Aw man, why do you get two Zords of your own?" complained Ethan. Naruto shrugged with a smirk. "We should get Dr. O," Connor suggested, and both the boys left to find Dr. O. The boys saw him as he was speaking to Randall Drive. "Oh, we need some help identifying something. We think it might be a," Ethan paused, quickly thinking of something that relate to Zords. "Morphosaurus." He was surprised at this. "Sure, I'll be right there," he nodded. "Excuse me," he told Randall. Randall glared after him as he followed the guys to the spot where Naruto and Kira were crouched, huddling around the egg. "What have you got?" asked Tommy. "Well, we think it might be a dinozord egg," Kira declared, passing it to his teacher as they stood up. "Here. I'm confident it's my Zord," Naruto said. "Ooh," Randall smiled, walking up to them. "A discovery, how exciting." No, Tommy hesitated. "We're not sure what it is." "It looks like a prehistoric egg," Randall retorted, before turning softer. "May I?" "Well, Tommy exchanged glances with the other rangers, unsure. "Don't worry, I won't drop it," she smiled. Reluctantly, he passed it to her. As she examined the egg. "I should really take that back to the school lab to examine it," he told her. "But of course," she nodded, holding it out. Suddenly, screams went out around the camp, as did the familiar hiss of the pteranodrons. They looked around at their fleeing classmates before Tommy nodded at his students, and they ran off in different directions. Naruto jumped on a plank, taking two of the enemies from left and right. He blocked an attack from the left and kicked one from behind him, knocking it in a ditch. He went back at the other one and landed two punches followed by a front kick to the face, knocking the second pteranodron in the ditch. One tried to slice his legs off with its sharp arm, but he backflipped in the ditch, then straightforward punched a jumping pteranodron in midair as it crashed into another. He got out the ditch and saw three charging at him. He looked around, finding something to use, and found a rope and grabbed it and twirled it around him, making them hesitate to attack, which gave him an opportunity as he whipped it forward, hitting one in the face, and whipped it around the leg of another, and pulled, making it fall on its back. He had then whipped the rope around the neck of the last pteranodron and pulled it forward and gave multiple kicks to the stomach and kicked it away. He saw Kira holding her own and saw a couple of pteranodrons coming at her from behind. He ran and flipped over two pteranodrons that tried to block him. He flipped over Kira and followed it with a front dropkick to the two pteranodrons, knocking them on their back, and had Kip back up. He was back to back with Kira. The two were surrounded in a circle. They looked over at each other and nodded. The enemies charged and Naruto grabbed her arm and spun her around as she kicked them all in the face and caught her in his arms bridal style. If they weren't in the middle of a fight, Kira would have blushed as she felt the muscles on his arm. Naruto swung her body around behind him but caught her as her feet connected another enemy as it fell in a ditch. Naruto set Kira down and then swung her again as she ran up against a wooden pole, kicking another in the face. The pteranodrons had disappeared and the rangers rejoined with Dr. O and Randall. The semi-happy look she'd had a moment ago vanished and had questions. "Care to explain to me how you four learned to fight like that?" she demanded, looking at the four teens. "A karate club," Connor stated before he and the other ran off, getting the heck away from their creepy and overly angry principal. "Do we have one of those?" Randall inquired, looking at Tommy. "I dunno, I'm still new here." Tommy shrugged before walking off as well. "Dino Lair. So, what's up?" Connor asked as Ethan scanned the dino egg with some device. "You got anything?" Naruto asked. "I don't know," Ethan shrugged. "Something's not right. I can't detect any signs of life." "Really?" Naruto asked. "That's weird," Tommy commented. "I'm sure that's a Raptor Zord egg." "Raptor Zord?" Connor frowned. "It's developed from the velociraptor, it's really amazing," Tommy explained. "That would explain why the pteranodrons wanted," Kira pointed out. "Yeah, and the way they fought, I say it must be strong," Naruto added. "Yeah." Tommy nodded. "Empty site. The things I do," Randall sighed, walking through the empty dig site. "Now where's that egg?" She grinned once she spotted it. Walking over, she uncovered it from the dirt. Staring down at the egg with malicious intent, she transformed in a flash of purple, adopting the persona she preferred, Elsa. "This is weird," Tommy stated, turning around on his computer chair to regard the four teens, who were still trying to scan something from the egg. "I'm still getting a heat signal from the dig site where we found the egg." But the egg's not even there anymore, Kira pointed out. Maybe there's another one, Ethan suggested. But that's impossible, I'm sure I would have saw another one then. Naruto said. Well, I better go check it out, you guys stay here and keep beepizing this one, Tommy stated, getting up and leaving. In a forest. Oh, what a prize, my very own Dinozord, Elsa smiled, raising a small device to point at the egg that lay on the ground before her. She aimed a large purple electrical beam at it. Rise up, my beauty, and take form. The egg suddenly cracked in two, and the creature inside screeched roared as it grew larger. It was a little small but big at the same time. Its head had a gold stripe from its crown down to the end of the tail. It stood on two legs with gold sharp claws, and the arms were a bit long with sharp claws. The tail had split into three gold razor sharp long claws, and above all else, it was green. It screeched roared loudly again. Elsa grinned. Now go and destroy. The Raptor Zord obliged, running off through the forest, destroying tree and forest in its wake. Eyes, I really don't, there's a Dinozord in here. Ethan sighed, still getting no readings on the egg. The Ranger base computer went off, and a screen opened up with the image of a green Raptor Zord rampaging through the forest. Well, there's one. Connor stated. Kira was confused. But how? Can we open it? Naruto asked, uncertain if he wants to find out, and glanced at the Zord that was roaming. Carefully, Ethan lifted the machine that held the top part of the egg, and it slowly opened with a flash of light emanating from within. The holographic image of Elsa appeared. Not what you expected, is it, Rangers? She cackled maniacally, but she didn't get very far into her taunting before a fist came crashing down, obliterating the remains of the fake egg and the holographic image. I'm so getting that bitch back, Naruto cursed, flexing his hand. Man, that's messed up, Ethan commented. How'd she do that? The Ranger base screen beeped again, and they looked up to see the Raptor Zord spun like a tornado, as its tail claws shredded through small buildings. Better get the Zords, Connor stated. It's attacking Little Tokyo. Come on. If I would know better, that means Elsa would be nearby too, let's not waste time. Naruto said as he can't wait to get his hands on that witch. They backed up, standing together and raising their wrists to their chests. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha! They cried, and were soon morphed. Tyranno. Tricera. PTRA. Raptor. There it is. Ethan cried as they arrived beneath the towering green Zord. It ran past them, slicing through trees as it ran towards the Tricera, Tyranno and Pterazords that had just arrived. It reached the Tricerazord first and then jumped high, landing on the horns and clawed at the Zord. It jumped back and spun around as its tail claws struck the Tricerazord, causing sparks to fly. Rearing on its hind legs, it screeched before launching itself as made /X mark. It crashed into Ethan's Zord, grinding into its head and sending sparks everywhere, and fell backwards. The Pterazord flew in, scathing the sides of the raptor with its sharp clawed feet. However, the Raptor Zord jumped really high and landed on Kira's Zord and procs to claw away, making it falter, but Raptor jumped and made a /X mark, launching it towards Kira's Zord, making it crash alongside the Tricerazord. Brittle, Ethan sighed, and Kira nodded. I know now's not the best time, but man, my Zord is kicking ass. Naruto commented as he looked at the battle while the three glared at him. The Tyrannozord was at it at the moment, snapping its jaws as it tries to chomp at the raptor, but it kept dodging and swiping its claws at the face a couple of times, causing sparks to fly. Come on, Tyrannozord. Connor cheered it on. The Tyrannozord attempted to bite the raptor at the right moment, but to no avail as the raptor on its hind legs kicking off with its powerful muscles to throw itself high, flipping forward for the tail claws to cut deep into Connor's Zord. The Tyrannozord turned around as its tail began to spin wildly like a drill, connecting with the raptor's tail claws. Sparks and electricity flew between the two as a horrible sound echoed in the forest. Turning swiftly, the raptor slashed to X mark on the Tyrannozord, who now could take no more as it fell over onto its side, crashing into the dirt beside the others. All three Zords were now smoking, they were so exhausted, and it made their rangers worry, and Naruto felt guilty. The Raptor Zord screeched, roared proudly, disappearing into the earth as it dug away. Whoa. He's gone. Ethan exclaimed. That can't be good. Naruto said. Then the other words disappeared as the ground began to shake. As trees fell over and were broken, a large creature that resembled a huge scorpion rose up, laughing maniacally as its sword arm flashed. Now what do we do? Connor cried. You guys take care of our new arrival, I'm going to try to find the Raptor Zord. Naruto told them. Their attention shifted back up to the towering creature. They realized the Zords were up and running again. They ran towards the opponent and then glanced at Naruto, who nodded. They jumped up and into their Zords and combined to create the Thundersaurus Megazord. Do it, Kira. Connor ordered, and she nodded. Terror rang. She cried, and the Megazord followed suit, whipping the sharp and boomerang-like pieces of her Zord towards the enemy. He was hit in the shoulder by one, but the second was easily thrust away by his sword and returned to them. Oh shit, Naruto muttered, watching as both Ethan and Connor's separate attacks. That thing's got way too much armor. They'll need something to cut through it, that's it. The Raptor Zord was their only hope. He took off as he followed the scout on his morpher if it was close by. He found Mesogog's right-hand woman standing on a hill that overlooked the battle. "You're under my control," she shouted as the Raptor Zord leapt from its underground passage, soaring up into the air and blasting past the Megazord, tearing at one of its arms with claws yet again. It repeated the process 3 times, leaping at the Thundersaurus Megazord and grinding its sharp claw blade into it, sending sparks everywhere until it fell over. "Well done," she yelled. "The Rangers are through. Finish them." "You're forgetting someone," Naruto called as he jumped, knocking into her. They went crashing to the ground and rolled down the hill, locked in a fight. When they reached the bottom, they both jumped to their feet. "You," Elsa growled. "Who did you expect? Zeltrax," he taunted. "You took my Zord, so I think the best way to repay you back is to kick your ass." "Your Zord?" Elsa scoffed, summoning a sword to her hand. "That Zord obeys me. It's mine. Someone like you doesn't deserve to have it. So, we can do this the easy way or the hard way." Growling fiercely, Elsa dashed forward, swinging her sword downwards. Naruto rolled out of the way and brought his Thundermax saber, battling her as he was on the defend, and then jumped over a slash. He went on the offense and was pushing her back, and both clashed blades and were locked, trying to push one another back. Naruto had broken the lock and quickly spin side kicked her in the gut, sending her crashing back on the ground. "You know, I thought for sure you would be hard as Zeltrax, but man, talk about weak," Naruto chuckled. "You annoying little brat." Elsa spat, pushing herself to her feet. "Heard that before and it ain't going to be the last," Naruto retorted. The two fighters met in the middle as roars and battle cries rung out in the air around them, meaning that the other Rangers hadn't given up yet and had risen to fight again. Naruto knew time was running out and needed to end this quick. Before he clashed with Elsa, he disappeared, which confused her as she looked around and was slashed from behind, then front, then side to side. Finally Naruto came from above, slashing her again, sending her back as she fell, holding her injured shoulder. "That's dirty fighting," she shrieked, attempting to move but couldn't do much since taking too much damage. "Hey, I'm a shinobi, get used to it," mocked Naruto. "Mark my words, Green Ranger, you'll pay," Elsa growled as she teleported in a flash of green. Naruto saw the Raptor Zord beating down the Megazord. "Okay Naruto, you can do this, just concentrate." He focused the energy on his morpher and soon he was now in control of the Raptor Zord. "You did it, Naruto," Tommy yelled happily over the morpher. "Now all you gotta do is combine with the others." "Alright, time to see what you can do, Raptor Zord, let's go." Naruto jumped into his Zord. Insert Dino Thunder instrumental. It ran towards Scorpex, who had the Megazord pinned down and spun like a tornado, slashing the monster with its tail claws, sending it back as it gave the others time to rise, and within the Megazord they cheered him on. "Alright." Kira smiled. "Go Naruto." Time to put it all together, Naruto grinned as he and his Zord rushed towards the others and the combining sequence began. The whole Megazord shifted, allowing Naruto's Zord to be added. The Tricerazord was moved to the back, where it became 2 treacherous spikes as the Raptor Zord replaced it as the right arm became a claw. Sweet, Naruto grinned, looking around the interior of the Megazord. "This place is awesome." He noticed the floating green orb in front of him and noticed how the others kept their hands hovering over it. Scorpex had risen. As he ran at them, he raised his sword only to have them cut in half when Naruto ordered his Zord to slice through it. Then it sliced the other sword before the Megazord spun and sliced the monster as it fell. "Now I'm mad," it growled as it got back up. "Oh, you want more?" Naruto questioned. "Raptor Blade full power." The Rangers shouted together and the Thundersaurus Megazord thrust the claws forward, creating a green X formation through the monster. Rivulets of decaying energy and shock rocked Scorpex's body before he cried out and fell crashing to the ground, where it blew up. End song. High school. "Tie up those shoelaces, boy," Randall shouted as she marched through the crowded halls. As she reached the stairs and began to descend, Tommy caught up to her. "Principal Randall, you're okay?" he inquired as they came to a stop. "Yes, I'm fine." She didn't look back at him. "You were pretty tough out there. I guess I didn't have to worry about you too much." "You were worried?" she asked, turning to smile at him. From around the corner, 4 teens watched, intrigued and keeping their laughter at bay. "About me?" "Of course." There was a moment of silent staring between them before the bell rang and she cringed. "You okay?" He frowned. "It's the bell, Dr. Oliver, your next class isn't going to teach itself, is it?" she retorted before stalking off down the stairs and out of sight. Yeah, I mean no." He paused, unable how to make sense of that as 4 laughing teenagers found their way over to him before they headed down the stairway. "Man, that woman is cold-blooded," Ethan chuckled. "Yeah, more like ice cold," Naruto put in. Yeah, but remember, Dr. O's got a thing for dinosaurs, Connor smirked. Don't even start with me, Connor, and besides, you know I'm married, Tommy stated. What would Kimberly think about this? Naruto grinned. Aren't you guys late for your next class? Tommy asked, wishing to be rid of them. Yeah, we were kinda hoping you could write us a note or something, Connor suggested. Yeah, dream on. Tommy laughed, and together they walked off down the hall, laughing. Yawning and stretching her arms, Haley came out of one of the back rooms of cyberspace, where she kept a room in case she ever worked too late and became too tired to drive home. Suddenly, a noise startled her, and she jumped, grabbing the jar on the counter beside her by reflex and instinct. She looked down at it, seeing it was the jelly bean jar, and shook her head, putting it back. Looking around the nearest parts of cyberspace, she spotted one of the microphone stands on stage and grabbed it, walking towards the source of the noise. Creeping towards it, she jumped out from behind the counter, yelling fiercely. Another startled yell erupted from the person sitting on a couch cushion, who then fell over. Haley? Trent frowned, looking up. You're here. Why? Do you see that sign outside? She inquired, putting the microphone stand down. The one that says Haley's cyberspace. Right, he nodded, getting up. Sorry. She noticed the large art easel in front of his previous seat and the drawing on the front of an intricately detailed alien. Wow, she was amazed, leaning forward and flipping the pages to see other creations and caricatures. This is you did this? This is really good. Thanks, he smiled. So, here's the only question I have, she stated as they got up and walked towards the counter. What am I doing here at 7 in the morning instead of at home? He guessed, pulling the bar stools off the counter and putting them in place. That would be the one, she nodded. I came here to draw, he told her. Dad's not exactly supportive of my artistic endeavors. How do you know? She inquired, flipping the power switch and causing lights to turn on. Well, I think his exact words were. Trent, I am in no way supportive of your artistic endeavors. I see. He doesn't think it'll get me anywhere. He'll come around. My dad's a great guy, but there are some things he won't budge on. This is one of them. We came as soon as we could, Dr. O. Ethan stated as he, Connor, Naruto and Kira hopped onto the mound of rubble and rocks, where Tommy was already scanning the area with a little machine. What did you find? Some sort of storage unit, he answered Ethan's question. The energy readings are so intense, this meter can't register them. But what kind of energy has that sensei? Naruto asked. The same kind that's in your morphers, he stated, turning to look at them finally. You're saying there's a Dino Gem in here? Naruto frowned and knew this was not good. Not anymore, but there was. Tommy confirmed. I thought you had all kinds of things that would pick up if there was a gem out here, Kira pointed out. Someone must have hidden it, Tommy said. When the cloaking device deactivated, the readings went off the scale. So is this good news or bad news? Connor inquired. That depends on who's got the gem, Tommy told them. Well, whoever finds it hopefully will be on our side. I hate to think if it fell into the wrong hands. Naruto said as the others nod. Trent's home. Trent wandered into his father's office slowly and leaned in the doorframe. His father sat in the shadows of a bookcase, reading a small book. Did you have a good day at school? He asked, apparently aware his son was there. It was all right, Trent nodded, walking in and scanning the bookshelves and surroundings with his eyes as his father continued to flip pages in his book. I trust you had further time to think about our earlier conversation? He asked. Is that what it was? Trent asked. I assume you're referring to the fact that you weren't happy with the outcome. I'm just not crazy about you telling me not to draw anymore, Trent stated, leaning on his father's desk. Trent, when your parents disappeared, you and I agreed that I would act as your father. And fathers are sometimes forced to make decisions for their children that their children don't care for. Dad, I get that, Trent accepted. He frowned, noticing his father had begun to speak slowly, that he wasn't focusing his eyes properly, and that beads of sweat were forming on his forehead. Dad, are you alright? He asked. Yes, he stated weakly, before regaining some composure. I'm fine. As I was saying, he turned away, beginning to loosen his tie as he put his book down. I can only raise you the way I know how, the way I see fit. Now all I expect from you, son, is that you abide by my rules. Okay. That's fine. Trent nodded. Now go, his father said absently. I have work to finish. Yeah, me too. Trent agreed, before walking out. Anton got to his feet sighing as he watched the doorway, before turning at the sound of a green Invisa portal opening. He walked towards it and reached out, being pulled into its depths moments later. Trent watched from around the corner and frowned as his father disappeared in a flash of green light. Shaking his head, he walked further into the room, looking for the portal. Hello? He searched for the portal but could not find anything. What are you up to, Dad? What's going on around here? Suddenly, with an odd buzzing noise, the portal reappeared. Trent walked over to it, frowning and examining the glowing green wormhole. Slowly, just like his father had done, he reached out to it, being pulled through seconds later. Mesogog Lab. The place around him was odd and unfamiliar. Not a very well-lit place that seemed almost like a high-tech cave, the place was filled with jars of multiple colored liquids, all containing disfigured and odd-looking creatures. What is this place? Trent frowned, looking around the lab. Other than the jars, there was a throne chair that almost seemed out of place, and a huge mechanical arm with a sharp piece pointed onto a table. It was aimed at something that was faintly glowing white, and it caught Trent's attention. In confusion and awe, he walked towards it, and his left hand began reaching outwards without him knowing. The strap of metal on the table kept moving, as if itching to move, and the white stone in the middle began to pulse brightly as Trent got closer. Without warning, it flew towards his wrist and attached itself there. He gasped, looking down at it as it flashed brightly and turned into a white-colored contraption in the form of a dinosaur-like bird. Without warning, a blast of pain and overwhelming energy attacked him mentally and he groaned, falling to the floor as flashes of a white-suited ranger with black spikes and a red visor danced across his mind. Dino Lair. The Ranger base computer beeped and Haley's gaze trailed up from her keyboard, resting on an image of a huge flower monster walking around downtown. Tommy, I think we may have something." Haley called him over. Tommy came quick and saw the creature unbelievable. He sighed. The 4 teenagers came over and saw a flower-like monster. "Seriously, I think Mesogog is running out ideas for his monsters because these things look dumber and dumber," Naruto commented. "Any particular reason for that guy?" Kira asked. "It's hard to tell, seems like it's actually looking for something," Tommy concluded. "Well, it's not gonna like what it find, come on guys," Connor stated, and they jumped down from the computer platform, standing side by side. "Ready? Ready?" The other 3 agreed. "Dino Thunder, power up." "Ha. Where are you?" the flower monster called. "Hey." Connor called, making a turn. "Over here." "You lost buddy," Naruto called out. "Is there something we can help you with?" Ethan inquired. "Red? Yellow? Green? Blue?" He counted their colors before shaking his head. "No, I'm looking for something in basic white." "Do you have any clue what he's talking about?" Kira asked, looking up at Naruto. "No idea," he shook his head before they steadied themselves in a fighting stance. Seeing the laser beam headed their way, they backflipped, getting out of the way. As they stood up, they heard the whistling of air as a blur zoomed up, hitting the monster over and over again as sparks flew. The other rangers watched, confused but in awe. "What's that?" Connor frowned. "I don't know," Kira shrugged. "Whoever he is, he's fast." Naruto's eyes narrowed. "Real fast?" Ethan asked. Suddenly the monster before them exploded and the blur rushed off, running down another street, faint laughter following in his wake. "You guys saw that, right?" Connor asked. "Yeah," Kira nodded. "But what was that?" "Something not right here," Naruto said. "You guys should try to follow it. See if you can find anything," Tommy stated over the morpher link they had turned on. "Come on," Connor called and they rushed off in the direction the blur had gone. Within minutes they found themselves at the end of the path which led to the front courtyard of a building. "It should be around here somewhere." "I don't see anything," Ethan shook his head. Naruto put his hand up to silence them and then looked at a pillar as his eyes narrowed. "Come out, I know you're there." Naruto called out and had summoned the Dragon Dagger and wore the dragon shield. The 3 rangers looked at him confused. "Not bad," a distorted and threatening voice stated. They saw a figure stepping out. A white-clad ranger with huge shoulder blades, black spikes and a red visor standing there, arms crossed. "Who is that?" Kira questioned. "And how come he gets the fat helmet?" Ethan added. Naruto stayed silent as he was observed the white ranger. "This guy a friend of yours, Dr. O?" Connor spoke into his morpher. When a definite no came through, Connor nodded, running forward. "Okay." "Connor, wait." Naruto called, grabbing his shoulder, stopping him. "It's stupid to go rushing off into battle against some unknown enemy, trust me, I know." "You should listen to your friend," the white ranger stated, and Connor turned back to face him. "Because if you don't, I might be forced to do something I really don't want to." "What do you mean by that?" Naruto questioned. "Let me show you," he chuckled, drawing a white dagger from his belt. White Drago sword. Swinging the weapon in a series of formations, he created a series of little white arrows that stayed floating in the air in front of him. "Laser arrows," he stated, and made them turn towards the other 4. Fire in a flash, they ripped through the air, battering the 3 rangers with a series of sharp jabs, sparks and energy blasts. Luckily Naruto played the Dragon Dagger, as his shield protected him from the arrows. The 3 were thrown off their feet and groaned as they landed on their butts. Naruto took a battle stance as he was in front of his teammates. "Was that really necessary?" Connor snapped, looking up at the White Ranger. "That was just a warning, and as for you, Green Ranger, I'll be watching you." the White Ranger stated before disappearing in a burst of white light that radiated from his dagger. Naruto helped up Kira and Connor helped Ethan. "You alright?" Naruto asked her. "Yeah, a little bruise, but I'll be fine," Kira assured him. "Man, that guy is no joke," Ethan said. "Let's head back to the lab, maybe Dr. O can figure this out," suggested Connor. "Nothing yet?" Tommy questioned Haley, who was running scan after scan on the computer in regards to the White Ranger. "Nothing, I can't get any readings on his genetic makeup. It's like the Ranger powers bonded with his own DNA and it's all jumbled into one," she replied, sighing. "Hey, how's it going?" Naruto asked as the others arrived, still in their Ranger suits but had their helmets off. As an answer, the computer began to beep and a screen came up showing the White Ranger teleporting into town. "Oh great, he's back," Ethan muttered. "And looking for more trouble, no doubt," Kira added. "You guys better get over there," Tommy stated. "Make sure he doesn't go completely medieval on any civilians." The three nod and put their helmets back on and quickly left. "Hey!" Connor yelled as they arrived. "Back so soon? Thought you made your point last time." "I've only just started," the White Ranger stated, turning to face them. "You want some more?" With rallying cries they charged and their opposing ranger shook his head, grabbing his Dragon sword as they reached him. He sliced Ethan on the shoulder, then Kira's arm before reaching Connor, who tried to flip him over before the White Ranger sliced his chest and pushed him away. Naruto stepped in next as he clashed his Dragon Dagger against the White Ranger's Dragon sword and launched synchronized kicks that the White Ranger merely dodged and soon cut him in the chest, sending Naruto back. He got up holding his chest. The White Ranger laughed maniacally, running forward and kicking into a super speedy overdrive as he ran through the Rangers, slashing out with his Dragon sword. He formed an X on each of their chests before jumping away as the markings left by his weapon exploded. Once again the Rangers found themselves on the ground, writhing in pain as the White Ranger emitted an evil chuckle. "That's gotta hurt." "Alright, what's the deal?" Connor groaned, pushing himself to his feet as all four Rangers had smoke billowing up from them like dying fires. He extended a hand helping Naruto up as he spoke. "Extending a little Ranger love, and this is what we get." "I'm not here to make friends," the White Ranger's annoyed voice broke him from his thoughts. "Then what is it?" Ethan questioned. "What do you want?" "That isn't something you need to know. All that's important right now is that there are 4 Rangers too many and I'm here to change that," he claimed, turning to face them. "That's it?" Naruto snapped, looking at the White Ranger. "Bring it." They rushed forward to meet him and he quickly slashed the guys across the chest, then Kira and then Naruto. As he pushed the two away, the guys came back with punches. He blocked these with his sword, smashing it against their wrists and they cried out in pain, stumbling backwards. Laughing, he flipped backwards and away from them, only to have Naruto and Kira come running. He dispatched them quickly enough and he soon laughed as the other Rangers began to push themselves to their feet again. That should do it. In apparent pain, the Rangers stood before him, attempting to make the best of the situation and remain in their dignity, keeping their fighting stances. "Think we're just gonna walk away?" Kira snapped, who appeared to be the least hurt of the 4, she drew her Thundermax laser, pointing it ahead. "Not gonna happen." Ethan drew his Thundermax. "Eyes no." Naruto cried out as he tried to stop them, but it was too late. They fired off a blast, only to have it return fire and blast them away where they flipped through the air and crashed onto the pavement. They glared fiercely at the White Ranger, Naruto, and Connor ran and checked on the two. Seeing his friends hurt had broken the camel's back for Naruto. He stood and drew his laser pointing at the White Ranger. "That's it, now you're dead," he yelled, aiming his laser. "Wait, don't." A morph Tommy called, running up and lowering Naruto's firing arm despite his protests. "What are you doing here, sensei?" Naruto inquired. "We don't know what he's capable of. He's got powers we might not be able to deal with," Tommy pointed out before looking at the White Ranger. "We don't want to hurt you." "Why are you here?" he asked. "Why am I here?" The White Ranger pondered aloud. "Lem see to destroy you." "That does it." Ethan cried out and he and Kira drew their Thundermax sabers, running forward despite Tommy's protests. They locked swords with their opponent but as they began a duel, he quickly showed more swordsmanship, besting them both and causing sparks to fly as he slashed them across arm and chest. They fell from the side of the raised parking lot building to the street below, where they recovered a moment as the White Ranger landed nearby. "Nice flight," he taunted. "He's so going down," Kira stated, hearing Ethan agree as he clenched his fists. They got up and rushed forward. Connor, Naruto and Tommy saw Kira and Ethan fighting the White Ranger, but were losing. "Sensei, I got to do something, I can't take this anymore." Naruto jumped off the building, landing safely on the pavement. "Naruto, if you're planning to take on that ranger, you're going to need your new weapon," Haley said through his morpher link. Naruto was confused and appeared in his hand was a sword, the handle was black with gold rhombus's design. The guard was green with a Dragon Zord coin in it, the blade had a design of Japanese dragon running down the blade, think of the Red Ranger's power sword. I present to you, the Dragon Sword. Introduced Haley. Whoa. Naruto had admired the sword. I owe you big time Haley, he thanked her and went after the ranger. The Blue Ranger and the Yellow Ranger were thrown backwards into cars, nearly breaking the windshields. Pathetic, the White Ranger spat, walking towards the hurt rangers. You're no match for me. Ethan? Kira stood up panting. Any thoughts? Got it covered. He cried, summoning his Triceratops shield. Good call, she nodded as her grips appeared in her hands. Terror grip. They rushed forward leaping into the air with their attacks. As their weapons connected with the White Ranger's raised arm, power was suddenly sucked from them and into what appeared to be his morpher. "And take it," Kira muttered, before she and Ethan were thrown back and onto the pavement, where they lay, exhausted, as they powered down without consent. "Okay, that wasn't what I had in mind." She groaned in pain. "Looks like game over," Ethan groaned. "Not yet," she shook her head, looking up to see Tommy arrive. "Kira." "Ethan." Tommy called, rushing forward and bringing his brachio staff down through the air. The White Ranger merely brought up the morpher, making Tommy's weapon crash down on it before grinning behind his mask. "I'll take yours too." He chuckled as Tommy was lifted into the air by the force of the energy drain. Seconds later, he too got to say hello to the pavement before powering down. As the White Ranger's attention was on the three demorphed rangers, he didn't see Naruto and Connor come barreling into him. He was knocked sideways with them and crashed into a construction site sign. "Time for answers." Connor snapped as they got to their feet. "Now." Ignoring his words, the White Ranger slipped away from his grasp, slashing Connor across the chest and kicking him backwards forcefully. He hit the concrete wall and fell to the ground before powering down, clutching at his shoulder in pain as he demorphed. Naruto and the White Ranger clashed swords and both went offense against each other as metal clashed against metal, causing sparks to fly. Attacking low and high. Naruto ducked under a strike and clashed hard against the White Ranger, locking their weapons for dominance. "No, too bad." The White Ranger mocking. Naruto kept focus and went on the offense, striking fast with the Dragon Sword against the Drago Sword. He went for a right roundhouse, but the Ranger ducked under the kick but was kicked in the back by a left kick from Naruto. The Ranger got back up and again clashed with Naruto again, and this time speed started to pick up between the two, then suddenly Naruto teleported in a green flash. The White Ranger not moving for a few seconds, then Naruto appeared behind which he expected and turned quickly to slash him, but Naruto blocked it with a Dragon Dagger and then went to slash the Ranger with a Dragon Sword, but he backflipped and then sent laser arrows towards the Green Ranger, but Naruto played the dagger as his shield protected him. The White Ranger stopped confusing Naruto but didn't let his guard down and the others joined next to him as Kira with Tommy and Ethan holding Connors up around their shoulders. "Are you alright?" asked Kira in concern. "Yeah, I am." He nodded, not taking his eyes off the Ranger. "You've been warned, Power Rangers, stay out of my way or be destroyed. I'll be looking forward to battling you again. Green Ranger." And with that the Ranger warped off, leaving the teens and their mentor totally confused. "Guys, we've got big trouble," Tommy sighed. "Yeah, major trouble." Add Naruto. "It wasn't supposed to go this way," Ethan commented as they sat on the steps in the basement Ranger base. "Was it? An evil White Ranger?" Tommy shook his head. "No, course it's been known to happen." "So, what do we do?" Kira asked, drawing away from the girl's antics. "How are we supposed to fight him if we can't get near him?" The only one that was able to go toe-to-toe with him was Naruto. Connor added. "It was not easy. I never have fought anyone this tough since back at home. I would say he's just skilled as my old friend Sasuke, and that can't be good," Naruto said. Tommy sighed. "We figure out who this is and what he wants before it's too late." Naruto sighed as he felt his body ache after the fight. One thing's for certain. The next time he would see that Ranger again, he would go all out for sure. "Whoa." Devin breathed as he and Cassidy were stopped short at the sight of a seemingly hurt White Ranger stumbling off into an alleyway. "I didn't know they came in white." "Whoa." Cassidy suddenly pushed him forward, intent upon following the new Ranger that had just appeared out of nowhere. From around the alleyway corner, the White Ranger fell over and powered down into a bewildered and confused Trent. He stood up, dusted himself off and headed towards the way out before crashing into Cassidy and Devin. "Did you see him? Did he come this way?" Cassidy inquired hurriedly. "Who?" Trent frowned. "The White Ranger. He was here, I know it." "No, I didn't see anybody." "Hello, how could you not?" she snapped. "Oh, whatever." She groaned, stalking off in search of her Ranger. "Sorry dude, see ya." Devin apologized before running off after her. "Devin, he's gone." Cassidy whined and Trent leaned back against the building as they left, sighing heavily as he closed his eyes, shaking his head. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys, let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, bye bye.